Greetings, Patrick here. Uh, have Cheetah will view, and welcome to our watch party. That's right, we're doing a watch party. Um, I'm so happy to do this because today has been a day from hell, but we are definitely going to end it with a bang for sure. We are going to be watching and commenting about Teardrop. Which is a supernatural horror film that was written. The screenplay was written by our good friend Spyder Dobrofsky, who's been a big friend of the show so far. We have covered we've covered all of Spider's movies except for this one. We have not done this one, so we are now, and I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hey Jerry, how are you, sir? How are you? Um, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up I'm going to bring up the link for the show on Tubi. I'm going to drop it in the chat here and pin it. So if you guys all want to go ahead and join in, you're more than welcome to. Um, Not bad. I've had better days. I mean, I won't deny that. Um, my Instagram went goofy. I have no idea why. So I'm going to try to fix that. But I'm glad we're able to still do this. We're still going to be able to do this watch party. There is a link right there. I'll post it a few more times. It's of course, like I said, Spider's been here several times before. We've interviewed him. We talked to him about he's got two movies that are underneath his belt that he's directed and that we've covered down below, which was a Spider's feature film debut, and we had a great show for that. We had Alexis Knapp and the amazing Biling, and they came on and talked about the film. We also are looking forward to The Weeping. The Weeping is in post production right now, and Spider wrote that, and he also directed it as well. And then I think he's got another movie that is, I think he's producing it, which we'll ask him about. Um, and then so he is very much on the rise, and cutting his teeth, so to speak, as far as directing films, getting better at it. Horror films are a perfect genre for young directors to cut their teeth. I really believe that. I think horror. That's one good thing about horror movies is you can do them relatively cheap, and if you have a good story, a good basic story, most of the time, I don't know. I think of all the horror movies I've watched, I would sit there and say like I've enjoyed about 85% of them, which is probably a lot higher than any other genre that I watch. Drama or mystery or anything else like that. Um, I think horror is like about 85% of what I really like. I really enjoy it. Um, no, Hereditary did not make that 85%, so don't even ask. Um, so Spider will be here shortly. We might be joined by some guests. I'm not sure. We're hoping. We'll see if anybody else wants to come up and talk about Teardrop with Spider and I. Now, normally I would watch a movie beforehand to watch the movie. But I decided to hold off on that and watch it for the first time, so I can sit there and go like, "Damn!" Just like the rest of some of you guys out in the chat. And then we can ask Spider all sorts of weird questions about how did he come up with writing that scene. So I decided to wait, and so we're gonna watch Teardrop together, fresh. Um, Speaking of teardrops, so it's Sharks versus Schlock Week, Volume 2. With Hey Internet. It's Eric. And that is where he and I exchange. I sent him four really bad shark movies, and he sends me four really schlocky movies. And then we see which one cries uncle first. Um, so far, he sent me Evil Tunes, which featured four beautiful girls. So I don't know. I didn't understand that. Was like, okay, and David Carradine and Dick Miller and Ari Johnson. I mean, it's like I thought we were supposed to like make each other go like, oh hell no, this is like, this is as bad as Leprechauns. But no, I got Evil Tunes. Now, in all fairness, I actually sent him a movie that I like myself. I watched it on Sci-Fi Channel. I said, you know what? I'm going to send this to him because that's one of my two favorite Screen Queens. So I'm going, okay, I'm going to send that to him. That's going to be my softball. So I sent him Malibu Shark Attack, um, with Pedro Wilson and the lovely Shellen Simmons. Uh, oh my gosh, he's supposed to make me like he's supposed to make me go like, oh, he's supposed to make me do a Jim if I ask Jim to watch Dirty Dancing with me. Oh, just no. That's how it's supposed to be. But Jim, he sent me Evil Tunes. That's a fun movie. That was a super fun movie. I really enjoyed the hell out of that. Um, so I sent him Malibu Shark Attack, and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not going to have the four beautiful babes on there, but I did give him some shark babes. I gave him Peter Wilson from La Femme Nikita and from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which, by the way, I absolutely love. That's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie so much. Um, you know what? If I hadn't already staked out my four movies, Jim, I would do that. But I staked them out already, and so I did get him though because he did not like Malibu Shark Attack, which really surprised me. I really was surprised by that. But he said it was off putting um, because you hear Peter Wilson and she is just like she smoked her voice away. He said he says she sounds like she had like four shots of whiskey and smoked a pack. So I did I said well, doesn't everybody like Kathleen Turner? And Yancey Butler has a worse voice than Peter Wilson does. But he did not like the movie I sent him. He did a 15-minute rant on it. It's very entertaining. So now we're rolling into week two. Week two. So I sent him. Now I'm being mean. I know I'm being mean. The rest of the movies I'm sending him are they're gonna be shark shit. Um, so I sent him Shark Girl, because it has a shark babe on the cover. Every shark movie worth its salt has shark babes on the cover. So I sent him Shark Girl, and then he comes back and he sends me Ghoulies 3. He likes me. I mean, he's my friend. He was saying, just wait till I send you these next three. You're gonna be like you're gonna be clawing for the ceiling. Ghoulies 3 with Eva LaRue back back at her heyday, and Kevin McCarthy from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah, I'm really terrified of how bad that movie's gonna be. I know it's not gonna be all that good, but it has Eva LaRue in it. She can make up for a lot of bad. Um, I I think have seen Ghoulies 3 too. It might have been Critters 2. Who knows? The Critters, Ghoulies. Um, no, and he's right. He says I didn't like Munchies, and he's right. I didn't like Munchies. I didn't think Munchies was very good at all. Um, uh, um, yeah, you know what? Like they made the fourth movie. And see, there's rules. Any movie that comes out of a major studio, it's not going to be all that bad. For one thing, like Ghoulies 4, I think they sold Charles Band or one of the Band brothers sold Ghoulies to save his studio, so they sold it to Vestron, and Vestron I think sold it to Lionsgate. Um, so major studios are not going to be putting out really hardcore stuff. They're going to be. That's why there's names in these movies. Like Eva LaRue and Kevin McCarthy. I mean, maybe they weren't. I mean, well, Kevin McCarthy was a very well known name in the genre. Science fiction horror. Eva LaRue, I believe, was still starting out. She is still doing that. She's just getting her run going. Um, so it's not going to be all that bad. I mean, it's going to be like Eric says, but it has fart humor, it has burp humor, and I'm going like, yeah, well, so does Blazing Saddles, and it worked, right? I mean, if you watch Blazing Saddles fart scene, I mean, nothing's gonna top that. So I'm not too worried about Ghoulies 3. Uh, you're yes, yeah. I'm not worried about it. I was really surprised. I was waiting for like something like Superman 4. But since I'm already covering that this month, I don't have to worry about that. But that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for some seriously horrifying movies, and so I'm not really disappointed. I'm looking forward to watching Ghoulies 3, and sharing some thoughts with it. I can't wait for him to watch Shark Girl. Oh, he thought he hated me. He thought he hated me. What can I say? I have a long memory. Last year, you gave me Leprechaun's Curse. Never gonna forget that. Leprechaun Curse was the worst movie of the movies that we watched last year. It was the worst by far. Now, Eric would tell you there was sharks in the corn. Trust me, it wasn't. Let's see. Do, 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 do. All right. Mm. I guess we need to say happy birthday to our good friend Don Zombie, also known as the Night Owl. It was his wife's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to the owl's wife. That's awesome. Glad to, glad that glad that you I'm glad you found someone, Don, and I'm very happy that you're happy. You deserve all the happiness. You and your wife deserve all the happiness in the whole world. Hey, Jason, how are you, sir? No, no, that's just what the movie's called, is Shark Girl, and let me read the synopsis, and but by the time I finish reading the synopsis, your ears will be bleeding. Okay, so this Shark Girl came out last year, and this is the synopsis. It says, when a beautiful young influencer, see, as soon as you hear the word influencer, I'm out. I'm checked out already. I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. Um, well, when a beautiful young influencer survives a mysterious shark attack, um, she becomes a monstrous apex predator, hunting and feeding in sunny Venice Beach, California. So there's the influencer in there. I guess they could have said, what a young beautiful YouTuber or a young beautiful Instagrammer or TikToker. I mean, they all sound the same, right? I mean, influencers like almost becoming like a curse word. Like, your mother influencer you. Um, I have not seen that, believe it or not. Sharp Boy and Lava Girl from Robert Rodriguez. Oh, you know what, Jim? I am hoping to hell that it is exactly that. Um, see, I was see, the longer the longer Eric is on reviewing a movie. This is the truth. The longer that he's on, the more he hates the movie. So I'm right now. My goal is to always send him a movie where he spends 20 minutes talking about it. Exactly. Exactly. And so many young people are aspiring to be influencers. Oh, it's just a, oh, I just saw that term and I'm going like, oh yeah, this is the movie for Eric. No, I did not get my Instagram back as of yet. I don't know what's gonna happen. I might have to try to start over. If someone hacked me and did something dastardly, I don't know how to get it back. None of these places, none of these platforms have customer service. Yeah, it really sucks. It really sucks that yeah, it's amazing they don't have customer service. It really truly is. It's amazing they don't. I can't think of any other service where like where you can't get customer service to help you at all on any level. Okay. Well, I gave Spider his link, so I'm not worried about that. Let's see. Oh yes, I should talk about this a little bit too because this is exciting news. So it looks like Brandon Rhynes is making haunted. I'm haunted 4 and 5. Now, I'm haunted series is a really fun man. See, I wish I could have sent him that. I wish I could have sent Eric that. If there had been a shark in that movie, I would have. Uh, but I'm haunted is it's a series starring Elizabeth Chamberlain. Man, that is so much fun. Yeah. And they didn't even warn me or anything. I mean, like someone's attempting to break in, and how do they even get my phone? And my password is pretty damn strong too, but they got it. So when I reset it up, I'll make sure that it's a much stronger password, and I'll be changing it like once a year. So first, I got to get it back. So we will see what we can do. All right. Our friend is here. Spider is here. So I'm going to open the door up and let him in. Ah!
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, Spider?
Sorry about that. I every single time I forget that I have to log in on my computer, and then I need to download Chrome and all that stuff. But we are good.
Yes, we're good. I am going to actually. Are we expecting any other cast members or producers or whatnot?
I know. I think there may be some of them may be joining probably towards the end.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I know. I know we're gonna have to jump. If they join in, you have to let them in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just send them the link. Send them the link that I
They've
sent
all got
you.
like I think a few of them are going to be joining. I just don't know. I think some of them are going to be joining at like 6:30 whenever the movie's ending.
Okay.
Um, and then some may join mid movie. So will you get like a ping or something if they try to join while we're watching?
Yeah. If they come through the link that I sent you,
Yeah,
if
they
they
all have
come
the
through,
link. They have a link. I think there should be a few who are coming and joining as we go. So
I think this is cool. Who will be expecting to come in? A
um,
producer, actors?
yeah. But, actors. I think we're gonna have. Let's see here. I like a couple of the leads. I think are gonna join in. Um,
That's
the
cool.
producer. Yeah, we should have some people joining in. Um, I just don't know what time. I think they're some of them may be
Well,
coming 6:30 or something like that.
we're just gonna talk for like 20 minutes or so, and so let people get here because I said everybody
Cool.
come in here at 8 o'clock. So we're gonna wait till about 8:20, 8:25. Let people come on in. That's how it's always how it works with watch parties. You
Cool.
want to
I don't think I've done a watch party with you yet, my man.
no.
This is my
No,
first
this is the
one.
first. Yeah, this is yeah. So
So
I
what?
enjoyed it. I enjoy the hell out of them when you got when you got someone who's done the movie himself. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
I can
fun.
tell you everything, man. I could tell you everything about the whole movie of how it was supposed to be. So many interesting little stories.
Yeah, well, and this was the first movie. I don't know. Were you aware of this? That this was the first movie that Tubi commissioned.
Um, I kind of was. I honestly though it's so weird though because I feel like Tubi's so big now,
Hmm.
but I didn't really know that much about it when it was all happening. Like it was like, oh, Tubi wants to do your movie and stuff, and I was just like, hey, man, anyone wants to make my movie, like, sounds great by me. But now all of a sudden, like, Tubi is everything. Tubi has a huge library. They're competing with like Netflix and stuff now, which is pretty crazy in many ways.
You know what? You sort of sit back here and just wonder how long can they maintain their how long can they maintain their business, their business plan? How long will it be before they start charging? It's probably gonna happen.
Um,
But there, I
no,
mean,
for sure. I
uh,
I hear they're just planning on going strong and strong, and like it's weird because they're like AVOD, like they're free, right? But
yeah, it's totally
people
free.
love it, man. I mean, I know some people who've canceled all their Netflix and all that stuff because it got too expensive, and they're
Yeah,
just like, "Oh, I watch stuff on Tubi," and I'm like, "That's insane to me." Like when when I met you and when I had done my first horror thing with Tubi, I was like, "There's no way some of these places could continue on with the free thing. It just won't work."
right.
And then also Netflix goes from like $7 a month to like 23, and everyone's like, "Screw this!" Like for good reason. That's a lot of money to spend
A lot of
for
money.
that.
Me,
For like,
Rick, they cut the cord. Like I'm getting rid of cable. I cut the cord of cable. Then they turn around and do the same damn thing with Netflix and Hulu Plus and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus. I mean, you're paying the same amount of money you were when you were with cable, and whereas cable, you had bundles and you could go to anybody's platform. I mean, here's $49. You can go to anybody's. Now it's like you have to pay for every single service you got. I mean, Disney does bundles and some other people do bundles, but overall, it's more expensive now to do streaming than it was for cable. That's how I look at it. Now, that being said, now do you think filmmakers will actually make a little bit more money off of Tubi now that there's more people watching it? Oh, I think he muted himself. Yeah, he mute he muted him. He
oh,
muted.
can
Oh,
you
there
hear
you
me?
are. Yeah, I was gonna say I think you muted yourself there for a second. No,
How about
yeah,
that?
turn it. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Okay. Okay, great. Sorry, guys. If I do that, it's because these new headphones I got set up here. Um,
Well, plus it's L.A. L.A. has the worst Wi-Fi connection anywhere else in the world.
oh
It
yeah,
does.
we
It amazes me. You're
well,
600 miles away from Silicon Valley and have the worst Wi-Fi.
we should be honestly like with like the streaming for filmmakers. Um, it's super weird because I've heard such a range. I've heard people who've made no money at all, and then I've heard people who apparently make six figures in streaming from like a Tubi and stuff. Um, which is sounds to me like it's mostly dependent on how much the movie is streamed, and also with some of the titles, like for like my this Teardrop that we're gonna watch, because Tubi commissioned that one, they put it higher up than like if
Yes.
you get on the Tubi, like if you go on a Tubi and there's no placement involved, then you're really depending on the title going naturally viral, like a video on YouTube, right? Like you can start from scratch on YouTube, put a video up and blow up, but also a lot of them remain in the like infinite part of the library where they're almost impossible to discover, and because of that, you have filmmakers who make,
I
you
have
know,
had Teardrop when I sign on to Tubi now, and the homepage. I have seen Teardrop many times, even now, have been on the front page when I walk into it. So I still think they push all their originals more. They probably push all their original movies much more than a lot of independents.
yeah, they do. They definitely do. And I think it's just also like something to do with like the
Put this. I'm gonna put the link down in the chat and let people know they can join us, and
yeah.
we'll start. We'll get this party started in about 5 minutes or so, five or
Perfect.
6 minutes.
Hey, True.
Uh,
They keep coming in and out. Is that because they're linking to your phone? Because it's probably not a battery thing, huh? If not, I'll just kick them off. Hmm.
yeah, I hear you perfect now.
Yeah, it says 97%. I think it's because they probably keep linking. Your Bluetooth's off. If not, I'll just take them off. I tried to be fancy today, Patrick, and instead it's coming all the same, right?
How's the weeping going along? I know you're in post production, so you can't talk about it too much.
Well, we could talk a little bit about it. It's going really good, man. I I feel like I did things as a director that I'm killing these earbuds. No, I think it's interesting, right? Like am I cutting in and out for some reason, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put an end to these things. I'm taking these out. 1 second here.
Okay.
That's what's happening here. 1 second. No, you're so okay.
Are those Apple? Those the earplugs are those apples?
Okay, here.
I think what do they call them? Like I tags or I don't know what they call them.
Okay, I might need your help here. They're now. I can't turn them off. 1 second. Hush.
I tell you, this always happens to folks from LA.
Okay, here we
They
go. I'm staying on regular speaker. I'm good now.
okay. I was gonna say this happens all the time to people in LA. Don't feel bad about it. This happens all the time.
Yeah,
It's the worst connection. It is the worst connection of everybody, and it's perplexing.
yeah. It's
I've had better connections in Romania than I have in Los Angeles.
it is bad, and I also, people think that I'm really good with tech stuff and certain camera things I am, but when it comes to like, I think every single time we've done an interview, I'm like, Patrick, like, is it? Do I download an app? You're like, just put it into your link, and I'm like, oh, there you go. It's just like some of
Yeah,
the native Bluetooth stuff and things. It's weird because it's different from the stuff that I'm good at. And then you got these like new 15-year-olds and they can run like 5 different things and platforms and stuff and Twitches and
They might be able to do that, but they can't do it in L.A.
Mhm.
They can do all that magic, but they can't do it in LA because it's always. I mean, I had a guest on from yesterday from LA, and hers was cutting out as well. I was a little bumpy, and it just happens. It just happens. Um, so as far as you said the weeping was in
Yeah,
post and
we're
and
in post. Yeah, and it's really cool, man. And I know you've seen so many all the little variations. This was the first script that I wrote to direct, in which I had a lot of like horror elements. Like there's like people, like 5 or 6 people, getting, there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of things that on my first film Down Below, was very afraid of doing any sort of real horror because I just didn't know how to do it and I didn't want it to look bad. So I almost completely, Down Below is not really a horror film. It's more like a psychological drama mixed with like horror tones and feelings. But I was like, The Weeping is like a full blown horror film. But the only problem was when we started, I was like, I don't know how to do any of these. I know how to work with actors. I know how to find a great location and move a camera around and blocking. But when it came to like the effects, the practical effects stuff, people falling and breaking legs and blood squirting, all these things, I only knew from watching films and, behind the scenes, but I myself had never successfully ever even experimented with that stuff. But I did learn, Patrick. So I hired people who were very good at that space, and we would talk about what I was trying to do. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh my God, I know how to do all these things. I can slit that person's throat. I can do all these crazy things that when we started was like, oh my God, like I feel very confident about this movie, except for all the FX stuff. And there's lots of it. There's a lot of blood and guts and supernatural elements to this film and an actual monster. And so it was really my first time dipping my toes into horror, like properly, more traditional horror, and also just undertaking a script that had a lot of, let's call it carnage, and spectacle. But I found a team on this one that was unlike a team I've ever had. And so I'm really excited. And I think that from just a horror standpoint, it's like, it's a major step forward for me just creatively.
Well, I just look at Down Below, Spider. I mean, I look at Down Below. I said this before you got here. I said, I look at horror films. I think it's the best genre for a first time director. I think it's the best genre for them to cut their teeth on as far as feature length goes, because it's I mean, you got a great cast for The Weeping. I mean, you got Doug. You brought back Doug Jones,
Yep.
and then you have Reggie Lee, who did 6 years on Grimm.
Yep.
And that's all they did. Was they did practical effects. It's all they did. So I mean, if anybody knows anything about practical effects, and Doug Jones, of course, his whole career has been nothing but practical effects. Playing creatures and whatnot. So I'm with you. I think this film here I think you're gonna take what you learned from Down Below and just
Yep.
apply it to the next one. And that's
That's
how directors are supposed to do it, right? You're supposed to go for your first film, turn around and improve for the second film. Take the lessons you learned for the first one, and as far as directors hitting the ball out of the park for the first time, that's so damn rare.
Well,
That's
also,
so,
and you nailed it, Patrick. And also, exactly, like, you don't know, you have to just go out and make stuff, and then you learn from finishing it. And the things that you would have changed, it's like, I'm not going to bother to change it on my film that's already done. I'm going to move forward and imply that on my next one. And I think the only mistake people make is that they just stop making stuff, or they stop finding a way to keep making films, and they just try to perfect that one film. And it's like, the stuff that I did on the last movie, that I'm still the most proud of with Down Below. I'm like, all the areas that I'm like, I wish I had done all these things, and I started to tease horror. I wish I just had gone all the way. It was like, well, I'm not going to go and keep working on this movie. I'm going to start my next one where the inception of the idea allows for a more traditional horror premise and idea. And I just always tell people, and it's, for me, it's just like, get it done, find a way. It's messy. And especially with some of these low budget films that I've kind of made my way through as a director, and a little less as a writer. Teardrop was almost $1 million budget. And that's with like not a name cast. So a lot of that money goes directly into like the set, the gore, the town. And the more money you have, the more you're able to basically hire incredible people to help bring the film to life. And the less money you have, which most first-time filmmakers get, unless you get A24 or Blumhouse doing your first film, is you have to really be innovative, and you have to really understand that compromises and sacrifices are part of making low-budget films. So you ask yourself, all right, I'm trading this for this. If I want this location that's going to cost me this much more, I'm going to now no longer be able to afford a production designer. So you have to like kind of find the right parts of a Rubik's Cube. And to me, I've just always thought that like I'm never going to compromise on having great, interesting actors from films. I think to me, that's like part of the movie going experience is like seeing someone you're familiar with, man. Like I don't really want to click on all unknown actor films. It's just for me personally, I like knowing that some familiar face that I like seeing in film is going to be in the film. So I've always tried to find a way to get some of those actors that I love, whether I'm just cold calling on my first one or this time now they like me and they'll do me a solid.
The cast for Down Below was so
right.
It was so much fun. I mean, you had Eric, you had Bai, you had Alexis was great. I was going to ask you, is Alexis in this one too?
No, she's not. Alexis is shooting a movie in Canada, I think, right now. There was an early iteration of this movie that we ended up not going for, and I had to rewrite it, and we just lost the location and the setup that we were supposed to do, and kind of the movie fell apart. And then I did my little magic, and we brought it back to life with a kind of a new take on how to do it. But I always work with Alexis. She's great, and me and her are always in touch and always looking. I think she's always working though, man. She's got some big action movie out this year as well. Like, she's a friend of mine now, but she's hard to get a hold of. She's just always I mean, they're always working. It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, well, I'm loving the fact that that you stay in touch with the people from Teardrop.
Yeah,
I think that's outstanding myself, because I know a lot of directors who I sit down and I sit there and say, hey, somebody can you contact any members of the movie that you did? And like 95% of them are going to sit there and say no, because everybody, once the movie's over with, they leave it. So the fact you stayed in touch with those the actors, I think it's outstanding. I like that myself.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, and that's for me, man. Is I've always tried to make, like, I want to like the people I work with. It's just right. It's too intimate of a job. Most movies I've worked on, I've made no money. So for me to be doing this, there has to be like the fun and joy and the camaraderie. So like I weed out when I find people I really like, I'll just keep working with them, because it makes my job so much easier. There's a shorthand, and I'm lucky enough too, where like, and I'm going to message him right now if I can get him, but like Doug has become a dear friend of mine, Doug Jones. And he, like was on this film with me and we spoke about it. And I was like, hey, Doug, it's so great to see you. Like last film, we were shooting in my backyard and it was like a 5-person crew and me, my brother, my friend who had never done sound before, who did a great job. And like Doug, and on this film, it was like we had 20 people and radio walkies and like a jib and a big Arri Alexa and assistant directors. And we were out in a bigger woods location in Topanga. And I just pulled him aside and we were talking and I was like, man, thank you so much, buddy, for doing another film. And he was just like, he's like, I'm here because I like working with you. And I think that we're going to keep making special stuff together. And I like seeing how you on every film are jumping up and making leaps and bounds. And so it's very cool to have someone who I think is so talented, but also trusts me and also like recognizes all the work that I put into like, making each film and trying to grow each time and being like, hey, I brought Doug back for next film. And it's like, And like, wow, like all of a sudden, like I'm doing way crazier stuff. And it's not because I didn't want to at first, I just didn't know how to. And Doug understands. He's like, oh, this guy's young and he's learning it in the ropes, but he's got something about him that I like. And I think that I've developed that with a lot of the actors where they really like me.
I definitely think that helps you for sure. After you did your first film, you come back for your second film and you have someone on the same level as Doug Jones coming on in. And then you add on, Reggie, and all of a sudden, your movie goes from here to here, and how fun is that, and it shows that the actors have confidence in, in your writing and your directing, and they will come out and they'll get behind it,
and that's. And that's the thing too. It's like when you get, to me, it's so cool and it's such a dream come true. But when you like get a great actor like Reggie Lee or Doug Jones, or my last one, Eric Roberts and Bai Ling, and these legends who have been in so many films, I was a kid when I watched Dark Knight in theaters, and Eric Roberts was in there, and all these things, and him on Entourage, and Bai Ling and The Crow, and with this one, I've seen Reggie Lee from when I was in high school in Tropic Thunder. Me and my friends used to run around yelling "Flaming Dragon," So when you have him in your film and he's saying your dialogue, and it's like, you're like, wow, this is like very special, because these guys are also, the reason that they are household names is because they're so good. And and when you get a chance to have them reading your dialogue and interpreting it and bringing it to life, I just think like that, it's just a very, really fun, exciting thing for me to watch those dailies and to be like, wow, like this could have been anyone, but instead I have Reggie Lee,
I tell you what, I watched Reggie. The first time I saw Reggie was in the Fast and the Furious, and there he is with York Yu, and Rick's going like with 30 weight, right, Lance? And Lance is like, yeah, that's about right. And he's just mean looking.
He's
and
so
then that last chase, and I've always like I know you're gonna bring me Reggie. Because I got one question. So I'm watching Fast and the Furious, and I see here comes Lance coming from behind, and then Dom takes his ass out and sends him down the hill.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sitting there going like, okay, did he live? Did he what happened to Lance? Because we know what happened. We already know what happened to we all know what happened to the other guy, Rick Yu, and we all know what happened to him. But what about Lance when he got off? I'm sitting there going, man, I just want to ask him, did he survive that accident? Then I saw him on Grimm. When I saw him on Grimm, and I'm going like, I didn't even recognize him till like the third episode. Like they had his name on there, and I saw him on there, and I'm like, the reason why was because his character was so happy. His character was so different. And then I realized that I'm like, I've seen him before, and I was just like, where did that? And then I remember it was Fast and the Furious, but he never smiled. He was like the silent killer. And then I realized, I'm like, that's the guy from Fast and the Furious. And it was like that too with same thing with Cole Hauser. Like when he played Rip on Yellowstone, I didn't know who that was. I was like, okay, he's a badass character, but I didn't know that was the bad guy from Too Fast and Too Furious. No clue. I didn't know Reggie had done. I didn't know Reggie was in Grimm. I seen him, and so it was. And when you said you got him for your movie, I was like, man, that's a get. That's a get.
Patrick, like for me, it's so fun, and I couldn't be like, to me, like there's nothing about celebrities and people. I've never been someone who's starstruck. I honestly couldn't care less, but I really love people that I'm a fan of their work and like actually know their stuff coming into one of the stories I write and bringing life to character, because you imagine so many different people and what could it be. And so when you get someone that you're like a fan of, it's like, it's an electric part of filmmaking. And the day they show up and the way they play the first line, and you're like, oh my God, like only Reggie Lee could have come up with how to play this part, this Ranger Jim character this way. And that was the first thing we shot of this movie. And it was like a double whammy because I was working with Reggie Lee, and then also I was doing my first like spectacle and blood stuff in the same day, and it was just a crazy blur. and he's just so nice and kind and just collaborative. And like I understand these guys. They worked on so many sets of so many big movies. He's got a scene with friggin' Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. I mean, it's so when you get to work with some of these people, for me,
I'm
I always
excited. I'm
learn.
excited for you. I really am. I'm excited for you. The anticipation for Down Below was great. I mean, I was really looking for. I was, and I liked what you did. There were some things that you did, Spider. That, I mean,
It was a weird film for a lot of people, and
it was a weird film. It was a little, but like I said, though, to me, like we've been talking here, and the most important thing though is take what you can, because I mean, there's a lot of good. Alexis steals the movie.
Yeah, she's
I absolutely loved her in that role. And the thing was,
she's great. I mean, she'll love to hear that. She would love to hear that. I'm going to send her that little clip right now of this thing when we're done. She would love to hear that.
Yeah, she absolutely stole the movie, and the one thing one thing is like, and I know it has to do with restraints, but a movie like that, you just want to see more of the people. Like you want to see more Eric Roberts, you want to see more Doug Jones, more Bai Ling. I mean, you want to see more of them on screen, but a lot of it has to do with budget constraints.
Now,
like
when we made that film, I made a black and white 51-minute feature with my brother before, but I was like an entirely never directed a feature film. We were doing it through a very crazy time in the industry during the SAG strike. We took 3 years to make the film. I also, when I started, and with my brother, who was my partner in crime on that film, my biggest inspiration in movie making was Tarkovsky and David Lynch and these very like mind-bending psychedelic filmmakers. And so I never, it's so weird, but like I didn't even really know there was like a horror audience and a horror thing. I was just like trying to find my voice as a storyteller, and I wrote this crazy film that like is this weird mind-bending kind of thing, and I know what it's about, and it's kind of this weird psychological metaphor for like child victims of like child abuse and some of that real evil, but I did it in this really weird like Rubik's Cube psychological psychedelic thing, which inherently is going to alienate 80% of the audience. And you've got these actors, these legendary actors, and they're in these weird characters. But in something about the film is also the only reason that I'm here today, that I made another one, and I got to work with these people who, while the film may have been too out there or a little too, little kooky, it also got me in the door, and it got all these crazy actors who had no reason to work with me. I wrote this crazy script. It's the reason they signed on, for very little money, because I was shooting in my backyard most of it. And so it's this weird thing where I'm like, the movie was exactly the movie it was supposed to be, because it was also the thing that got all of these crazy people. Where, in my last film, I was working with my brother and my dad and like some family friends. So to make that jump, I just was like, there's something about this project that people love, and I'm just going to put that version of it out there. And we actually have had a really interesting, which is really, really kind of cool, but we've had an interesting explosion on the Tubi and the free streaming apps in the last 3 months since going on there. And we had a pretty dang good month of rentals, and the film has now become this really weird, highly hated film, but it's being seen by lots of people. And then 1 out of every like 10 people totally love it. And then 9 are like, this is the worst, most disturbing, awful, random movie ever made. And it's kind of entering this space in a way that most of these movies don't even get seen at all, because we didn't have a marketing budget. So
it was interesting. It's like I have friends who are critics, and they have their point of view. And there was a couple who I like, and they watched the movie, and I told them about the movie, and they're getting screeners, and then I saw the reviews, and and they were like, they were bringing out the hatchets.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going like how do I tell them without coming across as someone who, because we're friends, and we're friends, and that's the thing. I'm sitting there going like, man, we're friends, and it's like, and the thing is I told them what I told you was for first time directors, man, you always have to pull your punch. You cannot come out swinging as a critic for a
No,
first time director. You just can't do it. You
no,
got to sit there. I mean, of all the movies that they have to make, the first one you just got to sit there and whatever they give you as a reviewer, you have to take that. You have to take it and wait till the second one comes out before you get really an idea what this person's about.
yep.
Or do they have the skills? Or are they just floundering? Are they, do they have vision? Like I said before, too, Spider. It's like, I told this to my friends. I said, the amount name me directors the first time out, they hit a home run. I'll wait because Hitchcock sure as hell didn't do it. Carpenter didn't sure as hell didn't do it. Neither did Lucas.
No.
They're all their first projects they ever did. Spielberg, he didn't come out. He didn't come out. He didn't. He did a lot of TV shit before he did his first film. He
Yeah.
cut his teeth. He wasn't an overnight sensation. It wasn't like, wow, he did Duel. Wow, there you go. There's a first time director. No, he had done a lot of TV episodes. He had gotten some experience. So I always look at the first movie, the first time, because sometimes they do. Sometimes people hit home runs. That happens. And but I just, with Down Below, I just took it for what you tried to do with it.
And I appreciate that, by the way. And it's actually, it's so funny because I always thought that I was going to be so hurt by bad reviews and all these things, but actually, I was so happy that the movie was finally getting seen because I made so many shorts and weird indie shorts and like a weird black and white ultra low budget feature that was like 50 minutes and no one considered a feature. That when people were starting, like, it actually really picked up. We've got like 200 reviews on IMDb. Like, the movie has really gotten seen and in a way that I've never had a film of mine as a director like be seen. I was like, when people started hating the movie, I actually was so excited because I was like, people are watching, and that to me is what I want. And so in a way, like, I feel like some of the reviewers you're talking about things and the people I've seen, they hate the movie so much with such a passion, right? Like, it's not like it's a 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. It's like, this is like 1, like a 0.5, like it's the worst movie I've ever seen. To me, that is a level of
that's not.
No, like, that to me is like a person who actually watched the whole thing, went and reviewed on it, is hating on it. I'm like, do you know the amount of movies that I just got bored and were like, this is just boring and bad? Like, this movie is like stirring up people's like absolute rage about how much they hate it. And that to me is an interesting phenomenon because you'll also see those same people who, in the way they describe the movie, they're like, and this and that and this, and then they'll describe the whole thing. And I'm like, yo, you just understood my highly complex puzzle piece about what it was about. And so I could tell who actually watched the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. This person, while they were watching from like how much they hated all of this doesn't make sense, and the technique and the filmmaking and the continuity and blah, blah. I'm like, but I actually got you to the end, which not as easy as
some might, and some of it, like, we're, talking to my friend Mike, shout out to Mike, and we were talking about this movie, and he commented on that because a couple of these storylines, and the biggest complaint I read from reviews, and I had to go with it on this, was the fact that Alexis, just like, her arc just vanished. She got to a certain point and she just vanished the rest of the movie, and you're sitting there going, like, you're waiting for her to come back, like, okay, she's coming back. They're coming, and then the African American actor, the cop who got killed, and it's like, okay, so why did he die? What did he do to deserve that? And it wasn't explained, and it was just like, okay, that happens. Bumps happen. It's a little. That's how I described it. I described it as a little bumpy. It was a little bumpy. It's not a bad movie, Spider.
I agree that the jarring element is totally there, but to me, I would point to the ending and show you that it is explained why those two characters vanish, and you see like the pink wig at the end, that these are just personas that exist in order to live in the fantasy that this main character lives in, rather than face what actually happened. So the puzzle is there, but if the puzzle is effective emotionally at making you feel those things, versus, like you said, like if you really liked Charisma and Alexis and then the journey stopped in a way, then while I may have explained why it's done that, it doesn't emotionally feel right. And that's I think the big lessons to learn. It's like some of the things that I did in order to achieve this kind of weird mind-bending film come at the cost of a user experience. So it's, it's this kind of thing. And it's super interesting to me to hear some of these complaints and notes, because they're totally valid. And some of my favorite films actually, like Enter the Void and these movies are just totally for most people as well. So,
but, it's, I think it's fair to sit there and say what, it's, I thought it was very Lynchian. I thought it was very much like a David Lynch movie. I just watched a movie last week from Brendan Gabriel Murphy. His brand new movie called Flux just came out, and we're going to be talking about it in a couple of weeks. And he too did a psychological thriller as well. And man, I gotta tell you, that thing's a corker. It was very cool. And I'm just sitting there watching it, and I'm realizing how, psychological thrillers, that's a tough nut to crack. It's so easy for it to go sideways. It's so easy. I think that maybe anthology films are hard too. I mean, because you got, if you do a true anthology, you got 3 or 4 different directors with 3 or 4 different visions, and you got to somehow put it together. That's hard to do. I admire anybody who does an anthology. The psychological thrillers like Down Below, and I don't know very many first-time directors, honestly, that would have tackled that.
And Patrick too, it's like I didn't just try to make a psychological. I tried to make like a David Lynchian, like Mulholland Drive, which is beyond psychological thriller. It's in this like subliminal filmmaking almost. Like if you look at David Lynch and this other filmmaker that I was like obsessed with named Andrei Tarkovsky, he did this movie Solaris, Stalker. Yeah. And at the time, like I was watching these movies and I was like, I want to try to change the form of narrative in cinema. Like I was interested in trying to destroy all the rules and do all these things, right? And the result of that is a lot of the rules that I destroyed create like you said, like this character just falls off and it's not satisfying. And I wanted to try to do something in a way that I felt that David Lynch does so well, for not everyone, right? But like you watch it and his movies don't really make sense if you actually lay down the plots and you lay down. It's a form of filmmaking that I refer to as non-sequitur filmmaking, meaning like the scenes don't bridge to the next scene because it's like this dream logic. That is what I try to do on Down Below. And from making a commercial first film, which my cast is a little bit commercial, but the storytelling and the narrative are totally not. It was just like a very, very ambitious first film. But also,
I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you took the risk.
Yeah, it was crazy risk, and I now feel, at least having taken that risk, and then we still got distribution, and I still got all these things that I didn't do on my last film. I was like, at least I now know that my risk was rewarded in a way that I felt that I never had experienced as a director before. And it's like, would I venture that far outside the lines? Well, The Weeping is far more traditional, like light years. And right. But I'm ready, and I was excited about doing a more traditional film. Whereas with Down Below, I kind of was in this like anti-Hollywood, anti-regular movies. Everything is so generic and bad. I want to try to like shatter it and make a new genre. That's where I was when I had made that film.
Did Gravitas Ventures, did they release it for the home market?
No, it's just US. I still have to get find a worldwide foreign rights. It's hard right now, man. It's a weird time to put a movie out.
I was hoping they released it at least on DVD.
Oh yeah, it's on DVD. You can get the DVD and the Blu-ray and all that stuff. And we've actually done pretty well. The first 2 quarters, I was shocked. We had like a couple thousand people have rented the movie, which is shocking to me, considering there really wasn't a marketing budget. So something about the actors and people are watching the movie. So
Well, people love your cast. I mean, those are the people, it's, Mai Ling and Eric Roberts and Alexis, they have their fan base. They'll come out and watch them and do anything.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this one, Patrick, because I feel like I've taken those same actors that I love so much and people love so much, but then put them now into a movie that is still very much my original in a voice, and it's unique, and there's a little bit of weirdness to it, but it is a horror film and is a supernatural horror film, much more like my Teardrop script was. And
speaking of Teardrop, we should probably think about starting. Otherwise, we're gonna end up wasting all our time talking movies, which I could easily do. But I definitely. But here's something I did for Teardrop. I decided to do something different. I was gonna watch it, and then we could watch it together and go over it. But I decided what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch it for the first time.
Do it there, man.
I'm gonna watch it for the first time, and then that way I can get spooked, and I can have some holy shit moments, and then we can talk about it. I put for anybody just gonna be walking in here, which I hope that happens once we get this party started. We're on Tubi, and I put the link in there. And do you have the movie? All set up, Spyder?
How do I do this? Do I have to put it on the? I can't put it on the screen at the same time, can I?
How many screens are you? Or how many screens are you? Are you using your phone?
I'm on the computer here, but I can set this desktop thing up here.
You should be able to on your computer. You should be able to do both. Just open up another browser.
Alex, can I open up and play the movie on this screen? Is this computer bad boy on?
Yeah, just put Willow as a password.
Okay. I haven't seen this movie since it came out.
I've been seeing it, and I'm going like, man, I gotta watch this. Then then I started doing watch parties. I started doing watch parties with the people involved in the film, and then I said, I want to do this one with Spyder, because I did my first one with Michael Cassie. His first movie that he did was a screenplay too, and he did Hangman. And I'm like, I want to get Spyder to do this.
Yeah, one second here. I really want to. Hold on, it's Willow with the what? Capital double? Hey, Alex, capital W?
No, just straight up.
Tubi. The only thing I'm bummed out about Teardrop is that they didn't give me any residuals.
They didn't?
No. Can you believe that?
Well, was it because it was your first time writing for them?
Yeah, it was my first time, and it was not yet in the Writers Guild.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's that kind of weird catch-22 where you're like, but at the same time, I wrote that script. I was going and writing at Starbucks every day, and I wrote that thing on spec. So to get it made was just like such an awesome feeling. I didn't care about the money.
I would have thought once I think they probably limited themselves too by making it a Tubi original. So now it can't go anywhere else. It can't go to.
No.
That sort of sucks.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, so as far as the sound goes, we'll try to keep the sound really low. That way we don't get. That way YouTube doesn't get all grumpy at us for copyright.
So we'll keep the movie sound so that because we got to talk about it while we're watching it. Yeah.
Right.
Commentary. It's like a writer's commentary.
Yeah, that's right.
I love those.
Okay. Are you okay? And when one of us hits commercial, let the other person know. Say I'm at a commercial, and then we'll both pause and wait till your commercial ends, and then we'll keep going.
It's awesome.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I'm on the Tubi logo right now.
Yeah, see, it already comes out there. It says a Tubi original film. Now, did you know anything about the Cartel pitch? It says Cartel pitch. Did you know anything about them?
Cartel is who set up and basically optioned the script. And they basically bought the movie with Tubi, and they segued the deal. It was this great guy, Stan Spry, and his exec at the time, Lexi, and they loved the script, and they set it up with Tubi. The deal happened simultaneously. So I'm forever in debt to the cartel. Sound right?
Right. Next thing you know, you'll hear ICE knocking on your door. What was that you said?
But this was actually shot up in Santa Clarita. This whole movie on a ghost town.
Now, were you able to go on set for this?
I wasn't. I think it was in that weird time with like masks and fucking all that stuff. Like they were just worried about bringing unnecessary people up. I really wish I was. I would have liked to see how they done all this stuff. But this opening,
this is great. I mean, the idea of you creating this creature right here, man, that's spooky, man.
You know what? Fun fact. So when I sold, and this is what I love about this commentary stuff. It's why I listen to it. When I sold the script, I did not have an opening scene. It actually opened on the bus driving through, and you learn that they're on their way to this teardrop town. And I will say, Tubi let me do exactly the movie. They didn't really don't change stuff, but the one note they gave me is like, Spyder, you need to have some sort of exciting opening scene. It needs to have a hook, something scary happen, and that's where the scene with this guy leaving this ghost town, this teardrop, we don't know this mysterious guy. He's in a panic in a hurry, and then he sees the scarecrow, gets out of the car, and it's like a doll and not a person. And then he gets attacked by these weird like ghosts. But the movie would have started right here with like them driving through town. And I just think that was such a great note. And then of course I infused the scarecrow stuff throughout the whole film. But that actually came from my mom. She said when she was younger, she was driving down the road when she was like 20 or something in the middle of the night, and there was this weird thing she thought was a baby in the road, and she stopped and pulled over, but it was a scarecrow. She got so creeped out. So she really did experience something like that, and I was like, that is so good. I got to put it in this movie.
That would freak the hell out of me to see something like that. Sometimes you always hear about that during Halloween, where somebody will run out there with like a doll or something like that, and they'll run out there in the middle of the night and put it in the road. And they'll sit there and watch people drive up there, and they all of a sudden they see something in the road, and they'll try to avoid it. Sometimes they'll crash. You always get people trying to do stupid shit like that every Halloween. That shit's for real. That happens, and it shouldn't.
Okay.
Now, I was going to ask you, because I was looking at the cast, and you mentioned something earlier, and mentioned it like it was I didn't know any of these people in this movie when I looked at the call list. Now, was this a union film or was this a non-union film?
It's a union film. So the director, Stephen Monroe, who did I Spit on Your Grave, the guy who's in the film as the handsome, good-looking lead guy who plays Chris, the teacher. We're in the car right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was in I Spit on Your Grave as one of the really evil hillbilly guys. So
the original one or the remake? The
remake that Stephen Monroe did. So they had worked together on that film, and this guy's for sure SAG, and he's in like that astronaut show, and he's done a lot of work, but he played a really evil guy in I Spit on Your Grave, one of the horrible guys who that movie's very dark.
And that's the one with Jamie Bernadette, then I take it.
Yeah, it's the 2011. The director Stephen had done this. He did the sequel. He also did this movie called House of Nine with Dennis Hopper. He's done a lot of interesting horror films. I really want to work with him again. But now he's like, now I'm a director. I'm like, Stephen, I'm a director now. I'm not writing for anyone else. No, I would give any script of mine to him because I think he's so talented, and I could learn so much from him too, because what you start to realize is that like the little subtleties, he was able to take all the dialogue I had and put it in this car, right? And all these things. And when I'm starting to do that, I'm like, oh my God, it's not so easy to have people talking where there's a flow on the page, but on the film, it's like, can be so boring. And there's just such a craft and skill set to directing that I don't think you can figure out without making.
Now, watching listen to the dialogue. Did they change very much as they went on? Did they improvise some lines, or was it
No.
pretty much great? Were they
It's like-
pretty much?
It's like 97.5% my dialogue with the you look like a female Clark Kent and all those crazy stuff, the stuff, Mr. C, the weird stuff with him and the 17-year-old student flirting with him, and they kept it all, man. That's what I love about it because it worked. And the only things they would, even the sign when they enter the Lily Road, right? This is what I love. This is my favorite part about the movie, man. The Lily Road sign as they enter this teardrop town. Even the population, I wrote 78. Like they like really stuck to the details. And Lily Road was the sign that I had them where he's like, we're looking for a sign off Lily Road, and she can't see you with their contacts, and all those things literally are Lily Road on the script, which I just made up. I just pulled out of my ass. So it is really cool to see all the details come to life and that's what I like about Steven is that he liked my script. He was like, sign on for your script. And so he's not changing stuff unless he has to, right? Like there was like a locational issues where he's like, hey, but he actually called me and it was like, we need to fix this. Like this doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Like based on what we have. And people are going to find this cheesy. So he had very good instincts. So he wanted me to do the writing versus, I like that. I like that about people.
Jen says, I like the revenge portion. I spit on your grave, but I can't watch the first half. No, I'll be honest with you. That was the first horror movie that I ever watched. Watched the original one.
Yeah,
It was the first time that I ever hit my horror limits. Like, I'll watch anything, but I won't watch that. I only saw it the one time. I never saw it afterwards. I know about the remake, and I was gonna interviewed Jimmy Bernadette for and there was a movie at my video store, and I could have gotten it to watch it. I didn't. I left it there, and I never asked Jamie a single question about the movie. I just didn't want it. I just couldn't do it. That movie's so disturbing for me.
By the way, I had not seen it, and when Steven signed on to direct Teardrop, I was like, I got to watch the movie that everyone knows him for, and I was like so disturbed. It was so hard to watch.
That's just and the original's worse. Though I heard from a source, a friend of mine said that he has a source on the film, and he said that it was very, Jamie got hurt during that movie. There was a couple of scenes where she got hurt, and he commented on that. He says, "Well, she was going all out for it. She banged up a little bit." And
I love this actor, by the way, who they cast as Denver, the hotel guy. He just did such a great job.
Denver, is it?
Yeah, this is a great town. He says Santa Clarita. He looks sort of like John Waters, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I definitely got inspired by The Shining and tried to make a weird like hotel guy. But this guy, man, he made it his own and different. And
They're on the senior field trip.
I got to work with him, man. It's just super weird. Like the only interesting thing about writing and not directing is you get to see someone else's interpretation of your material. And that can be really exciting too, where I was like, I just had no idea what to expect with the film when they cast. And then when I watched, I was like, man, Steven did a great job. Like I got to enjoy the movie in a way that I may not be able to enjoy a movie that I direct. Because you know what I mean? It was just like, it was a really refreshing watch. The music, the little guitar picking stuff.
Man, I'm bummed out that you weren't able to go on set, but this is cool. I love the fact that this is almost entirely your script. I think that's a sign of respect, to me. I know sometimes they'll do rewrites on the fly and whatnot, but man, I just it's interesting because there was a movie that came out last year called Madam Web, right?
Yeah,
and it had Dakota Johnson in it. Now you think Down Below got the heat, man? You haven't seen anything until you saw Marvel fans go to town on that. But what really sucked about that was that, and in fact, there's even a story about it today. She said that when she signed on for the role of Madam Web, they presented her the story one way, but when she got to the set, it was totally different. Totally different from the movie that she signed up for. She didn't sign up for what they put on the screen. She says that's not the script they sent me.
How did they do that? How did they pull a fast on her like that?
Because they always rewrite. They totally rewrite. Oh, they'll sit there and they'll go in there and just continue to change things on the fly. And I personally don't get that. I thought once a movie got locked, like, okay, we got our budget, we got our script, we got our cast, it's locked in. I thought that's what I meant, like locked in, like nothing can be changed because this is it. This is what we're gonna film and who we're gonna film it with. But she's Dakota Johnson said, she said many times that this is not the movie that she signed up for. This is not how it was presented to her. So to come back here and watch this and see that Stephen actually, he honored you with 98% of your script. I think that's just a sign of respect that he showed you.
Yeah, he did. That's why we're still pals. And he watched my first film, and some of these guys, they've really become like cool mentors to me. But I also, that's what in a way that he respected my script. I try to do the same thing when I direct my own film. It's like, if there's something that really works on the script, like try to trust it, because everyone can get so nervous on the sets. Oh, what if this doesn't work? And what if this is too? And it's like, hey, we all liked it on the page. Let's give it a chance,
Yeah. You mentioned a movie earlier. You said how you were trying to make a sort of like the Shining type of vibe.
This one I was so hard. I mean, there's
that movie. That's a great example of respect shown to you, right? Stephen Monroe shows respect for you. 90% of your script, that's yours. They go ahead and they buy The Shining from Stephen King. They gut that son of a bitch like a fish, right? I mean, the movie, the Shining,
like it, yeah.
The Shining movie is nothing like the book.
But I like The Shining film. I really think it's really. So you're on the. Okay, so I was talking to my friend. Who's this? Did you read the book? Obviously.
Yes. Love the book.
It's interesting. Oh, I'm on my first commercial here.
Okay.
Interesting. It's interesting because what I've heard, having not read the book and only having seen the film, is it's such a different movie in every single element. And in fact, I will dare say Kubrick's Shining has a lot of the stuff that I try to do with Down Below, where there's a lot of nonsensical chaos. And I think that it's very interesting as the more I hear about Stephen King's book, it's like The Shining and the character of Jack Torrance is like somewhat of a character who you find some sympathy throughout the film. And the film's version is that he's always a piece of shit and he's always unhinged. And actually, it sounds like the whole ending of The Shining film was where he's at the Overlook Hotel was entirely added to the film, which is such a mind-bending ending. But it is interesting. I haven't read the book, but I was looking up a thread. I was explaining to my friend that there are two camps. There are people who absolutely hate The Shining and think that it is just like a travesty of what the source material, and there's people who love the film and have no idea.
It is definitely a travesty.
Stephen King has disowned the film, and I remember there's interviews of him saying, "Good riddance, it didn't do well," and then of course the movie went on to do very well after the fact. We're back on here.
No way.
I'm still at a commercial. I'm at 12:56 so far.
Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna wait. Tell me when I'm at 13:06.
Okay.
I got tips on this bad boy right now. I like they kept all the young people dialogue, and I think this actor who played the main guy, man, he's got a great movie star look, man. He's got a vibe about him that I think is hard to find with leading. I remember being very worried that they weren't going to cast someone who felt like a masculine leading man, because I'm like, it doesn't work. This character is such a piece of shit on the page. He's so selfish and singularly focused on figuring out what's going on in this town and putting kids' lives at risk, that if he doesn't have this quality about him that's a little bit rugged and thing, you'll just hate him too much. Where are you at?
I'm back running. Yeah. I'm looking at the kids. Boy, you had that one. You had that one right. They're all
Yep.
taking selfies and all their phones and
Yes. Look at that selfie. You see, I'll tell you a little fun fact. You see why she has a weird phone with a weird case?
yeah.
They do that because of rights. They do that because of rights. Like if you want an Apple phone in your thing, they'll charge you a fortune.
Mm.
You'll see most. You'll see
How,
most.
how, how is that? How does that? I've always wondered. Like when people do movies, right? And they always have to block off the brand names, and it's like I don't get that. If I don't understand, how does that work? I mean, if I go out there and I buy a 6-pack of Coke, right? My character likes Coke, and I buy a 6-pack of Coke, and it's sitting on the table. What does that matter? It's like every day. It's like this is what people do. Why do people always have to block off the brands?
The brands can come in and sue you if you put their thing up, because they also may not like the representation. For example, I may use the beer, right, and have the beer turn out to be someone who's an alcoholic and crashes their car and kills someone, right, in my story. So it's also the representation of what you do with the brands. It's weird. It's a weird IP property, intellectual property. It's a very weird part of movie making.
It really is.
But then you have it on the higher end, like big brands, like incorporating, like Chevy works with these big studio movies, and they're like, let's have blah 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 drive the new Chevy. And it's like it feels like it's a Chevy commercial because they have to show it too much, you know. I've always tried to put weird older cars and weird phones. Ooh, I like that cabin out there. See, this music's good here. That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I wonder how they. I wonder. We'll have to see who did the score.
Yeah,
I like the lighting here too. It's appropriate. You know, it's you know.
They did a great job. You know, I think it was one of the first things because, you know, I before this, the only movies I'd ever had made were Christmas holiday movies, which still really fun to see them come to life. But I'm not like, it's not like I'm watching those movies without the fact that they're mine, right? Like, but this was the first screenplay that I wrote that was like truly an original story where it was like all made up for the fun of it because I didn't even know who was going to buy it. Like my holiday movies, they were written for a producer I knew was going to, like, this was written for fun and then sold after. So boob job at 17, you believe that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, she's a healthy girl.
Yeah, she's they really cast these I just think they did a lot of like really great, like they really kept all the story and some of the stuff that I think a lot of places would have gotten freaked out by, of just like, you know, very realistic teenager kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh! So product placement is a lot of fun. I do like a good product placement. I remember the first time I saw this Hallmark movie, and I was watching Hallmark, and they had a scene where the character wanted to do coffee. That scene had me in tears. It was so obvious what they were doing. You know, they were positioning the can of Folgers, and you know, and very slowly open it up, and you see the hand scooping it up and making coffee. It was hilarious. I was expecting to see if Jen wants to know where the film was shot. Did you say
Santa Clarita? And fun fact, I wrote this screenplay in 2016, the first draft of it. And I wrote it because a producer I had met said, "Hey, Spyder, I know you want to direct films one day. I have access to a little abandoned town, kind of Western town from another show I was shooting. And while we're there and I have all the crew, can you write me like a horror script that would take place there and like we could shoot in like 10 days?" And I said, "Oh, of course, absolutely." So I went to Starbucks. I worked on this script. I pitched this Teardrop script. I worked on it every day, but I wasn't commissioned. I was just like, oh, I could do this. And then I sent it to him after finishing and worked my butt off, and he didn't even respond. And then I hit him up again, and he said, oh, horror Westerns are the worst genre to make. This Jonah Hex film had come out, and all of a sudden anything with horror and Western was like a giant, like, no way we're making it. So this script that I wrote, the spec script, sat on my computer until 2021. So at the time, Tubi wasn't even around when I wrote the script. And all of a sudden, I get hit up from a producer who had produced my first holiday movie. His name is Ira Pincus. He produced my first film right out of college. And he said that he was looking, Tubi was looking for a horror film that took place in an old West town because they had access to one. He's like, probably don't have anything. And I was like, I actually have exactly that. And I sent him, I said, give me 2 days because I had to take a look at the script. I hadn't read it in 6 years, and it was a mess. The premise and the characters and some of the stuff was there, but it was just awful. And so in 2 days, I stayed up all night and I rewrote all the characters and I built out the suspense, gave it to him. And then 3 weeks later, he's like, Tubi wants to buy it. And then the movie was happening. So
Nice.
Script only got read by 2 people. The first person said it's an impossible genre to sell, and the second one bought it. And they both had access.
This is fine. But yeah, good Lord. Did you ever see Jonah Hex?
I may have. Josh Brolin, Megan Fox.
Yeah. You would have remembered it if you saw it. It was painful. The only thing that caught me by surprise about that movie, when it came out and they roasted the hell out of it, right? And so I got a copy of it. I got a copy of it for $1. And I had never seen it before, but I collect comic book movies, and I know the character Jonah Hex. The thing that shocked the hell out of me about that movie was the fact that it was only 73 minutes long.
Oh, it's really short.
Oh my God, yeah, 73 minutes. And I just was looking at that and going like, wow, that's really. I mean, how is it like to go on a date night, go see Jonah Hex, and have it barely over an hour? You have to pay for entry and a popcorn, and only there for an hour and 13 minutes. Oh, I would have been fried.
Look at this little child made of straw thing here. I love this. Now, Lorelei, the name I came up, is the name of my best friend's grandma, who's kind of like my grandma. But I always thought that was an interesting name.
Well, I'm at 2058. Where are you at? 21.
Oh, you're a little ahead of me.
Am I ahead of you? Okay. Where are you at?
I'm at 20. Now I jumped to 2107. Where are you at?
I went back. Let me go forward. 2114. Okay.
Perfect.
So they're talking about Laura Lee never shed a tear.
Never shed a single tear. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I like the whole myth, the lore. This was my favorite part of the script.
Let's see. Jen saying, if you like shameless product placement, watch the 2000s film adaptation of Josie and the Pussycats. That movie. You know who's the worst though when it comes down to product placement, or the best, however you want to look at it. By far, the champion of product placement. You know who that is, without a doubt?
Who?
Adam Sandler.
Really?
Oh, watch his movies. His movies are full of product placement. Full. I mean, everything. I swear, I think that's how he makes half his movies. Half the budgets for his movies come from product placement deals that he does.
And if you can figure out the skill of how to work with companies and make it in a way that doesn't feel like it's preaching on it, right? It's a great way to finance films, and you just have to know how to do it where it feels like part of the story and not part of like,
Now I'm watching this. Now since this is supposed to be a horror movie, and they're the kids are probably going to be they're probably going to be the ones that are be haunted here in a minute.
Yeah.
Did you have to write a person basically buying the farm like once every 8 minutes? Was there like a, even though it hasn't happened so far, But is that part of a criteria when you write a movie like this?
The Jason Blum formula, where you have a jump scare every sort of
Yeah, jump scare. Yeah. See, there's a difference between a Blumhouse movie and a horror movie. A horror movie, someone dies, and in a Jason Blum movie, it's a jump scare.
Yeah, it's I mean, I try to make sure that at least the suspense is ramping up, right? Like, all right, these kids are all now taking edibles, they're taking edible brownies, like my roommate. Kidding.
Fuck you.
That's her. You want to come on screen? You want to see a little bit of his film?
Sure.
She's never seen this movie of mine.
Really?
No, but she helped out on The Weeping.
All right. All right.
Look at her taking edibles on the movie. Show your face. There you
Fun.
are.
Hello.
See, they
Hello.
shot.
How are you?
This was my
Good. How
last
are
one.
you? I love
This
your
is
hat.
Patrick.
Thank you.
Hi, Patrick.
Alex has watched me through the whole production of The Weeping. Come home every night.
Either crying or laughing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, laughing more or not.
I think it was more
laughing.
crying. More crying.
Okay, I was gonna lie, but
Yeah. It was very stressful, the production, even though everyone was incredible. Actor-wise, it was just we tried to do a lot in a very little amount of time.
Jen says that she watched Dark Water for the first time in its entirety last week. And to be honest, I really like the feel of it. Have you guys seen it? And why did they get so much flack? Is that the remake with Jennifer Connelly? Didn't
Is
she
that
do
a movie or no?
I thought there was one Dark Water with Jennifer Connelly in it that was a remake of a Spanish film, like The Orphanage or something like that. Or maybe it's Jessica Alba. I can't remember if it was Jessica Alba or Jennifer Connelly.
See, look, here's the warped little selfie. I like that. Like, they're like, what the hell happened to our face? See, this is where you start adding some weird stuff into it, you know?
Oh, now they're blaming the edibles.
But that's what I love. I try to make all my characters do drugs because you can be like, oh, it's not haunting. They're tripping, you know? And
Right.
it gives more time before, like we're like normal sober people, or be like, oh my God, there's a ghost. But when you're tripping on an edible, you're like, well, and I think that's you have to find little suspension hacks, you know, to keep it going. Like, see, this is creepy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, man, that is creepy.
Scarecrow?
Yeah.
Scarecrow. I want to do another movie with scarecrows. I think there's just the imagery is so good.
You know the best Scarecrow movie there ever was, though?
Huh.
Dark Night of the Scarecrow.
Oh, I got to see that.
Oh, that's awesome. It was a made-for-TV movie, but that thing has a weight. I'm telling you, that thing has a weight. Even today, that's a disturbing movie, ahead of its time.
I like these little three actors together.
Yeah, they're really cute.
I wonder what they're all up to. It's interesting because being an actor is just so tough.
It is, yeah. You know, someone who you should talk to if you ever want to get into casting. If you need a casting and he's currently not working, man, I have to talk him up again because this guy has the Midas touch. So he's an actor based on the East Coast. His name is Joe Leone. Spyder, I don't know how the guy does it. I had two of his actors on yesterday. I've had several of his actors on, his female leads. That guy finds the best female talent. They're really good actresses, and they're just drop dead gorgeous. I don't know how he does it.
He's a what? He's a filmmaker?
Yeah, Joe Leone. I just got done watching and actually did a review of his movie called Greet Your Demons, which was a drama. It was a very strong. It's a very strong movie.
Creature. I'm looking it up. Creature.
let's see. Scariest Scarecrow scene was scary stories to tell in the dark. I can't watch that scene without looking away. See, Dark the Scarecrow of the Night was really good. I thought that was really different.
I like this scene between these two characters where he's like, see, I like.
Is he trying to seduce? Is that a student of his?
No, this is the co-teacher that he
Oh.
went, and I just like this character because hasn't been. You learn he hasn't been able to write, and he's gone to this town because he wants that people turned his down his last thing, and I liked adding a little meta writer element into it.
Yeah, he's got a nice look about him.
He's very old-fashioned, old west kind of look, man. I think that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll have to go ahead and see if I can poke around and see where they're at.
Poke around, man. I should have tried to get them on this thing.
Well, did you use any other actors on the Weeping that you used for Down Below? Other than Doug?
David has a little small. David Steen from the Tarantino films. He's got a small cameo. He lives in Savannah. He's the preacher in the last one. I've got one of my guys who plays the gas mask guy. He's got a small part. Wow, I guess just Dougie. Oh, I will have a surprise big cameo I'm waiting to announce. We're doing one more little small reshoot next week. We're shooting some flashback stuff.
Nice.
Oh, I'm on an ad here.
Okay.
Movie's good.
Yeah, I got an ad too.
I forgot how much fun this movie was.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
It's interesting to me, like, but also, like they had a good budget to do all this stuff, and
$1 million? That's damn good, isn't it?
It's now normally a movie like this would have had 1 to 3 and that would have been normal, but now there's so many features are getting made for like 600, 500K because of this new time we're in where distributors are not buying up movies for a lot of money unless they're like large movies. So this Teardrop is kind of like the upper echelon of like an indie scale, like the scale of an indie. Normally you have a movie, right? You normally have a movie for Teardrop budget, but it's like never trying to do a haunted movie. It's like a $700,000 like drama, like an Anora or something like that. You don't really see a lot of like. But I think horror is saving the industry right now. I really believe it.
It really is. I mean, it's funny because they keep on talking about all these big budget movies. Are the numbers that they quote when you hear somebody sit there say like Lilo and Stitch made $400 million? Honestly, is it really making that sort of money, or are they just inflating the numbers? I never take their numbers seriously. What they say that movie makes at a box office, I don't really trust it. I think they inflate the numbers to suit their narrative.
How do you know what a movie makes?
Yeah, I mean, like you see that's what I was saying. It's like, I mean, to me, it's like if you're making a movie out for profit, like the Avengers, right? Well, the Avengers got the last one was made for $200 million. Okay, without knowing guaranteed that you're going to make your money back, why the hell would you make a $200 million movie? I mean, why? I mean, how does that even work?
$200 million. They think they at least double the budget for marketing. Like that is 100% the marketing budget at least matches the budget.
So the movie would be. See, I always thought for something like the Avengers, they pay them minimum, and they give them a piece of the profits. Everybody got like a 1% or 2% after recouping costs. I can't imagine anybody making, up front making $20 million. I'm thinking, we'll do this movie for, our minimum, and then I'd rather take points than get paid a lump sum for a movie like that.
You see, by the way, they're like talking about like Hamilton. I should have gone to this Hamilton school to get with this hot chick and all this stuff. What I love about writing is like Hamilton is like my mom's high school. Like all these things are like little references I've grabbed from things, and like this street was this person's. Like I always put little Easter eggs just because you need things to sound real, the names, but they're usually taken from people that I've met, but I kind of swap them around, like that's just interesting.
It'd be really interesting. I mean, I knew this one director who I talked to on 8 Questions, and he did this movie. He's a director, and he's done a lot of indie films, but he has a calling card for every one of his movies. He said, if you watch any movie that I've done, you'll see something in every movie. And what he did was he put a box of Pop-Tarts. And I was thinking, man, maybe Spyder should have like this a little miniature doll, the little doll, the gunny sack doll.
Oh,
should be in every one of his movies from now on.
I just think your head is in the right place, and it's very interesting. Like what no one told me about being a filmmaker was that I would have to figure out myself how to market and do all these things. And again, I hope to meet a company eventually who does that. But until you meet a really large company like a Blumhouse or a Shudder, one of these big places, like a lot of these movies just release a slate of films and they don't really give any film special attention. And so like my job in a way is I have to think about I have a lot of say over the poster we're going to use in the trailer. And like I send it to a trailer company, a poster company, but they're asking me, they're like, what do you think? And it's like, I'm like, shit, I don't know. And then all of a sudden you have to have opinions and you have to take guesses. And I think part of being a movie maker is also just like, you have to try to guess what the audience is and what they may like and what they may want to click on and what makes a good poster. And nobody really knows anything, Patrick. That's the shocking thing is everyone is all just making things based off opinions and hunches. And you really have to be like open-minded, but also be like confident with the direction you choose with making a movie. Like I love this. They chose to give them these lanterns, and like that's just right. Like it's a great choice, but that's a choice, right? Like he could have given them flashlights. And I
like the lamps too.
And it works because they're in an old ghost town, but someone else directing the script saying, hey, this is ridiculous. They have lamps, like use their iPhone lights. I've seen those movies, right, where they have the iPhone light, but I'm like, that doesn't look cinematic. So barn mice
for the edible.
I did not write the barn mice thing. I don't know who did that. I wouldn't have known about barn mice.
It's sort of funny. There's 2 teachers, but only 3 students.
2 teachers, 3 students. So I grew up in Santa Monica, and there was all my buddies went to this school called Crossroads, and they did a lot of these kind of very personal field trips where a couple of teachers would take a few students on these like they did a lot of way more personal things, and the teachers were very close to the students in a way that me and at the public school, we didn't have that kind of stuff. It was like, if there was a field trip, it was like 100 of us going to the zoo or the aquarium. So I kind of had to draw from like more of a private school where the little group of kids get taken on like a final senior trip.
I'm not going to college anyway, so.
Look at that town.
Why weed?
Yeah, we survived the night.
Dude, Dank, I love this. You have busted my balls over there?
Oh, he's seen memories? He's seen flashbacks? Yeah, that's never a good sign. Why is he taking pills?
Yes, a big.
He's been here before, hasn't he?
Let's go.
I think the casting was done really well with this film. Only difference is I've shot my movies for way less, but I got some bigger name actors. But the casting of this is classic. and Teardrop continues to get played every year. It gets a lot of views every year.
Well, I'm definitely going to go back and review it too. I'll go back and watch this and review it all the way through. I don't know why I haven't. I don't know why I didn't before.
You got to send me the review because I would love to. Oh, here's his little flashes here. Like I would love to hear your review of this film. It's super interesting. I really like. I don't know, man. Even watching this film right now, I'm shocked how much I'm learning and seeing from Steven. Shout out to Monroe. Like, you know, you don't. The more movies you make, you see when someone's doing something really special, and he's able to hold on these kind of shots and make them interesting, and the framing, and it's good. It's not easy to do because I see so many movies every year people send me, and I can't watch 5 minutes. And Steven knows how to make this Teardrop movie, and it takes me through it. And I'm like, there's a tone, and it's fun, and it's. I don't know, man. He's a skillful dude.
That casting, the casting of that town guy is
he seems to be the fan favorite. The casting of the hotel guy.
This guy, he's like he's seeing a lot of his memory flashbacking.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out all the.
She told him he would pay. Yeah. Was the woman innocent?
What about the cabin?
Oh, I bet. Oh, I see him smoking a cigar. He was smoking a cigar earlier.
He was. All right, I'm gonna shout them out right now. We're doing a live watch of Teardrop on the Have Cheetah watch party with all the amazing actors.
Yeah.
Let's show me all the cast. Where's all my kids too?
I know. I got some of the stars. Some of the stars, like Murray Gray plays the female school teacher.
Murray Gray.
Jeff Branson plays Chris. Let's see. Bradley Fisher played Denver. That's the town guy. Rachel Thunder played Josie. That's the one with the boo job at 17. Megan Lee plays Tila. She's the one I think who provided the edible.
She provided the edible.
And then Michael McLean plays Ross, the young kid.
These actors are great. We love them all. I'm gonna.
And Meredith Jackson played the young girl, Alice.
She's amazing.
She really is. And then the other one is Ellie Grace Pomeroy. She plays Laura Lee.
He's not over yet.
All right.
Now
I noticed one thing that Steven has done, and I noticed this and with X too. Like I said, it always seems to be the rule of horror movies is that you have to have the action start going. People have to start dropping. But with X, that's what happened too. Like the first 2/3 of the movie, nothing really happened. But the last half hour of the movie, it was gangbusters. And I have a feeling that's what we're gonna get here. We're gonna get to about the hour mark, and then we're gonna start seeing some action.
Some carnage. Well, yep, and that's the difference between the psychological, more of the psychological horror, and I love this shot through the mirror, by the way, versus the like more slasher. This movie's not a slasher; it's kind of a ghost psychological. And with those ones, to me, I always felt like you need the slower build. It's like The Shining or the good version of The Shining. It's like where we're building, and we're not letting them in on the fact that the ghost stuff is real. Versus a slasher, they can kill people off because you can show right away that the slasher character is, It's a creative choice, which is interesting. And
hey, Ross is going to go over there to that young girl that sort of spurned him before.
Yeah. She's great. I'm trying to do a movie with her.
The one played Laura Lee.
It's the girl who's like the little hotel girl that pulls Ross away. I'll show you who she is. She's great. Her name's Monroe Klein.
These guys are they all look age appropriate too. I mean, they look like they're 15. They look their age. Let's see. Jen mentioned that she loves Miami Vice. Yep. I have to watch Miami Vice every Friday night. My favorite character was Lieutenant Castillo by Edward James Olmos. He was
Oh
yeah, he was the heart and soul of that movie.
Anxiety. Yeah, I suffer from it too.
See, I like these little scene with.
I even wrote something about it. Yo, check it. I suffer from anxiety, bottled up inside of me, like a knife in the side of me. Writing rhymes in my diary just for the notoriety.
I did not write the raps, just so you know.
Right.
That's where my my skill set
Thank you.
fails.
And he's mentioning Denver is whistling for her. I guess that they all can't. I guess as long as they within the town itself, they live. But I have a feeling that if they go out of the town, they get turned into dolls, right?
Yeah, man. So you pick it up pretty fast.
Okay.
You can't leave Teardrop. That was the idea. I remember when the log line was. It was like once you come to Teardrop, you can never leave. It was like one of the
California
points of it. Yeah. I took that and I kind of re-riffed it.
I love it. Yeah, that's cool as hell.
Isn't that great?
How long do you have to stay in the town before that curse hits you? Like if they were leaving right now, would they be able to get out of would they be able to get out of the town right now, or is it going to be?
The way I imagine it is once you come, once you stay for the first night, you're screwed.
Oh man, I love it.
And the hotel guy in the beginning, Denver, he tells them, "You got to leave right now. You shouldn't stay the night." And he tries to warn them, and the guy.
See, Chris has been here before.
Yeah.
Because he's having those flashbacks. It's like you never have flashbacks unless you haven't been here before. So he is probably like the one person who got away. But now it's sort of like I like it. I like that idea a lot, and I like the idea he made him a writer too. So he's sort of like a Jack Torrance.
That's exactly what I kind of tried to do, and I try to make it my own thing, and just I think there's something interesting about, like, to me, I like homages. I think that as long as your film has its own story, like there's something cool about paying homage. At the end of the day, if you're watching a horror movie, you've heard of The Shining, or you know what The Shining is. So when I have people checking into a hotel, right, it's like if I don't give it a little bit, and that's why I added the typewriter. That's kind of my homage to it. It's kind of almost more fun when the film is like a little bit aware of the predecessors, the films that come before it, instead of pretending like you're just this all original person. We all know that when you're checking into a scary hotel, there's Shining vibes when there's ghosts.
Well, I can tell you right now that I'm enjoying this movie a hell of a lot more than I ever did The Shining.
We'll take that. We'll take that every day.
You can come back on your own.
I just can't stand that movie.
I liked how these actors did the dialogue and stuff.
That was spooked the hell out of me too, though. Tila's just looking at that rope swinging like that, in the middle of the day with no wind, and I would be a little leery about that shit too. Let's see, it says, oh, so yeah, Okay, I've been looking for this place for years. Yeah.
You learn that he's been long searching for this place with his and he's got family history there, and that he's come here for a specific reason, and now she's getting taunted by the rope, the hangman's rope, and her character I wrote, she's kind of got suffering mental health issues, but you don't know if it's the haunting or it's that nice little hybrid,
I like that wicked place.
Man, this movie is really inspiring.
He's he's looking a little too happy.
That letter
Which guy?
was written.
The male school teacher, Chris.
Yeah, because he's there. He's excited, man. He knows the bad history about this place. See, I've been looking at this place for years. There you go.
Years. It's not online anywhere. It's not in maps. It's not in books.
Yeah.
Okay? Nowhere.
You're not making any sense.
Read the letter.
Now he's back to the memories.
What's your time? What's your time at?
I'm at 40. I'm at 46:21.
Listen,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm sending you away from this.
Yes.
Where are you at?
Yes.
I'm jumping up there. Oh, there's the memory. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's explaining that baby was my grandfather. Yeah.
She wrote this letter.
Exactly. You don't believe in curses, and it's just I tell you what I do. Yeah.
I love these flashes of this woman writing.
Get the Alice,
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather, out of here before she cursed this town.
So Teardrop only has 78 people. I bet it slowly just faded away. Was fading away.
Is that the town Teardrop began to wither away?
I feel like I'm always going to read my reviews. You get people hate it, but you get the occasional people who like really, and the thing is, when people are writing a review on your movie, they're going to be a person who liked it enough to come and watch the thing, or hated enough to write it. So there's a lot of people just watch movies and then go.
Because this is my family.
I talked to this one director once and did an interview with her, and she did her first film, and she's one of those rare ones who hit it out of the park the first time through, at least in my opinion. She did a movie, and it was just an amazing film. It's an amazing film, and she came out to Seattle to do a watch party, to watch the movie and then do questions and answers. So there's like 350 people that came and watched her film, and at the end of the film, 350 people. And she was telling me how there was like 2 or 3 people that came up there and was going like, I don't get it. I don't know what you were trying to say. And they weren't really in the movie. And she was talking about that. She was saying how, she was talking about them, like they didn't understand the movie and they didn't, they were asking me questions and they didn't like it. And I'm going like, but 347 people did. So don't give those 3 the power to take away what 347 people like. I just concentrate on the 347 that loved your movie.
Well, Teardrop's another weird one because I think the consensus is not great. There's a lot of it's slowly grown up, but like a lot of people dislike this film, and I don't really know why. I feel like it's a pretty good.
Teardrop is the only thing that in our day and age, and like I said before, this movie reminds me a lot of the pacing is very much like X. It's like X didn't have. I don't think X had on my commercial. I don't think X had their first kill until almost an hour into the movie as well, and then in the last half hour they killed everybody. It's like okay, most of the time a horror movie. I'm back. Most of the time, movies like this, they have to kill a person off every 8 minutes. That way you keep the attention of the audience.
Yeah, but see, I
don't feel like that way.
That's not really my interest. Those type of movies that are quite that like kill. I like that. I'm a big mystery suspense guy. That's my favorite films in the horror genre were like Sixth Sense and those type of films that were like The Others with Nicole Kidman, and they had these kind of like gothic supernatural elements, and you're like, what's happening? And when you have people getting killed off so quickly, exactly what's happening. There's not really a mystery. It's just like when is the slasher person going to get the main girl, the final girl, or die, and why is he doing it? But the mystery with the ghost supernatural genre, I feel like you don't want to give away the curse too early. And with this movie, I tried to, I wanted to keep the curse thing like we keep learning, and it's like breadcrumb throughout the film, and then of course the big final act you learn. And then I have a kind of creepy little plot twist, but I don't know, man. It's funny when it comes to like people reacting in reviews. I just feel so lucky to have getting my movies made that when they get made, I don't even care if people hate them. But I think they're good. And I think there's stuff that's interesting about them. I like it because, it's like, it seems like every couple of years people change their mind on what's good or what's bad. And to me, I think the worst thing that can happen to a writer or a movie maker is to not have your stuff made, or to make a film that goes into a vacuum that people don't see, because getting reactions, good or bad, is exciting and it's emotion. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised when Down Below started getting tons of hate, and I was so happy because I was like, oh my God, people are finally seeing my movie. I don't even care. I don't care if people think I'm Roger Corman or whatever, like I want to make movies, and if people are reacting to them, then I think that I'm doing something right. And that's how I look at it.
You know what? If even it's almost a compare to Roger Corman, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Roger Corman made a lot of good movies.
Yeah, and you have to, like, I think people want to be so hard on themselves and like perfection, and it's like you have to throw darts and miss. You can't just like wait till things are perfect and try it and hope. It's just protecting yourself from being vulnerable. And like, look at that. That's creepy with the tree and the Tila thing.
I saw that.
That was well done. That's like a nice dolly pushing, and this is a cool shot. I mean, this lighting in the movie is really well done. I was gonna say the lighting on this is great. Look at the blood drops, and damn, man, like I'm inspired. Like I still feel like I have so much to learn. Like I think this is the first time I've watched this movie since directing 2 films. Yeah, and I saw it when it came out, but when it came out, I really was still just only focusing on writing. And now so much of my passion and interest is the craft of directing, and I just have a newfound appreciation for Steven and what he did watching it right now. Things that I don't think I knew that they were, oh, this is great, but now I'm seeing why things I really liked worked. He's the way he just moved in on that tree and the blood dripping on her foot and the light on her. It's like, that's just some good
caught her face. The look at her face was perfect too.
It's good stuff, man. This DP is great.
See, now Denver's gonna don't quote me in your book or anything. Uh-oh.
Don't put me in that book.
He's got a secret. The hanging judge didn't have a trace of empathy. Well, that's why they call him the hanging judge. Oh, they're gonna kill See, that girl must be related to the teacher.
Yeah.
Either that or he's related to I think he's related to the judge.
Hey, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. I'm gonna have this lovely girl True sit and watch.
Okay.
You want to be my placeholder?
You want me to just put it on pause?
No,
put it on pause.
Keep it going.
Put it on. Yeah, put it on pause.
Put it on pause.
All right. Man, I'm having a blast tonight. This is a lot of fun. I really needed this today. So Teardrop, man, Teardrop's a corker, man. I'm really enjoying this. I'm glad I waited till to see this for the first time, and to watch this with you guys for the first time. I've never watched this movie before. Thanks, Jen. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta figure it out. I'll probably have to start over. So I'll have to go and get a new email address and restart it. I have no idea because my Facebook is fine and my threads are fine, but only my Instagram went south. So I have no idea why that even happened. I still don't know, Larry. I don't know what the hell happened. There's no way. I can't even get a hold of Instagram. There's no recourse. It said it was disabled. So I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if they're I'm not. Yeah, I have no. See, I know when you get into yeah, I'm here.
Hey, I want to bring on one of the main girls from the new movie. Should I have her come on right now?
Sure.
Talk a little bit.
Yeah.
While we play it.
Yeah. Sure. Have her come on in. Send her the link, and we'll get her in.
I'll see if we can throw up the screen. I'll have her throw up the screen in the time so she can see a little bit. She's like, "You made this?" I'm like, "It's like I didn't make it."
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do, Jen. I'm gonna have to create a new account. I'm gonna. Yeah, my Instagram got hacked, I think, and well, if there's if they shadow ban me, they couldn't have done any better job. I mean, they kicked me off, and then when I go ahead and they asked me to send in my phone number, I sent in my phone number, and then I asked them to send in my email, and they can't do it. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I got hacked. I mean, I thought they would at least tell me that, like when you try to come in there, they say, well, you can't come in because you violated community standards, but I didn't do anything to do that. So if someone hacked in my account, they could have. I mean, that happens a lot.
Now, what he created, he could only do the one thing he knew.
God, this is great shit, man.
Oh, did you start back up?
Yeah, I'm on 53.
Okay, I'm right with you. Okay, I'm at 53:36.
Cry. I think she's going to be joining in. Let me know. She's saying.
Okay. So that judge cursed the town.
Yeah.
Cursed the town by murdering her. That's why they're all there.
He murdered the daughter because she couldn't cry and she thought she was a freak and wanted to elicit a tear out of her. And then, of course, the judge had no tears, man. That's what caused the weird curse, I like the weird old town with a history,
I've never seen anything quite like this.
I know. It's original.
Yeah, it really is. I've never seen anything quite like this before. And this, there was a movie called Dead and Buried that came out in the 80s, and it starred James Ferrantino, Jack Albertson, and Melody Anderson. And he plays a cop who's investigating these murders throughout his town. But at the end of the movie, it's revealed that Jack Albertson has actually created all the town. None of the people in the town are real. They're all puppets. They're all dolls. And and including the leading cop, he's not really a human. It's
one of his dolls or something.
Yeah, but he doesn't know it. He's not aware of that. He thinks he's human. He's trying to solve a murder. It's a weird ass movie.
All right, what's
I
that?
have a feeling the judge looks like the school teacher.
Yeah, what's that one called?
Dead and Buried.
I'm gonna be so heated this next year's class.
I think it came out like in the late 80s.
I just like, I think you do too. I really like tales. I like interesting little horror tales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not paying any attention in class anymore. Hey, school isn't as important as real life experience.
Well, that's what I feel like a writer is supposed to do. Is they're supposed to come up with a story, and the story should be different.
I think. Oh, they're saying Larry's saying Dead and Buried is awesome, and then Jen says never saw it, but now I don't have to since Patrick just spoiled it.
Oh no, that's all right. There is a certain timeline on the spoiling of movies, although there's some couple of movies I feel never should be spoiled. Usual Suspects, Sixth Sense.
Right.
Seven's one of my favorites.
The Dark Song. Can't ruin the Dark Song.
I think you put too much pressure on
yourself. That movie's brilliant.
I went through a crazy phase where I would just look up movies with interesting plot twists, and that was my favorite genre. Like I would look up.
I love a good plot twist,
and that's what I like trying to do. And a lot of my scripts have big plot twists, but plot twist movies a lot of times they fail because people find it to be contrived. which is interesting because I think some of my favorite plot twist movies, there's a lot of people like, that's so stupid. Like I knew the whole time. I'm like, well, got me. If it can get me, that's fun. I think that's fun. I like movies that surprise me.
Okay, my turn.
See, Ross is a lucky kid. Here he is. He's the only boy with two pretty girls.
Yeah, this was wish fulfillment for me, writing character, getting to hang out with two girls. Although I have two girls hanging out here right now.
There you go. Oh, shoot. Speaking of that.
Is Jordan here?
Yeah. Oh, tell her I'm sorry. I'm getting her in right now.
Fuck you, asshole.
Oh.
DNA dump, and that's all you're good for.
What, because I won't blow you?
You. And you know what? Screw you too. I stood up for you.
That's great. That was some good writing.
No.
All right, you bitch.
Yeah.
I got a date with the maid, so I'll see you.
See, he gets mean there. Did she she's in the lobby there?
Dang.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her.
It's been while it lasted.
Hi.
Okay.
Yay!
Sorry about that.
We
What's
got
up?
her. Hey, so the movie is running in the background just so you can see. This was can you see it? It's a free
Yeah.
it was the first movie I wrote. It was a horror script that got made for Tubi, but I didn't direct it. But it was
Oh,
a
cool.
really cool, like ghost town movie with a bunch of kids who go camping in a they don't go camping, sorry. That's our new one. It's like a kid's go on a field trip to like a mining town, and it's like haunted. It's like a field trip to this haunted western town, and I was telling Patrick and everyone listening, it was a script. Actually, I used to go to Starbucks every day and write scripts on spec, and it was a script that I wrote in like 2016, and I gave to one person, and they were like, "You wrote a horror western movie? That is the most unmarketable movie. Like that is the worst genre." So I never gave it to anyone else. And then in 2022, a producer reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a horror movie that takes place on an old West set." He's like, "I know it's super random, but do you know anyone or have it?" I'm like, "I have it." And then he bought it immediately, and it got made that year.
Awesome.
That was kind of my entryway into the horror world. I was just a writer here. And then this really cool director did it. He did this movie called I Spit on Your Grave.
Okay.
Don't watch it. It's really, really disturbing and dark.
Sounds crazy with the title.
It is, but it's real. It's like, I honestly, like, I think he's an unbelievable filmmaker, but the movie is like, I think it's NC-17, right, Patrick? It's got to be. It's so violent and brutal, and it's.
Which one? I Spit on Your Grave?
Yeah, don't watch
it. That's NC-17 all day.
So Patrick, Jordan is the female lead in The Weeping.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we had a crazy 4 days shooting up in Topanga. Finally catching up on sleep.
I know, right?
That was crazy.
Right, it was a long one.
It was weird because, you know what sucks though? I was saying, like, I felt like towards the end, I was like, we finally all got into like a rhythm, and it was like this big family. And then I was like, it's over. I kind of wanted to, like, it was starting to, because the first few days were like figuring out how to, like, there's all this, like, you're trying to find the voice and like how to shoot and this and that. And then finally, when we all had this great, like, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see everyone today. It was like, it's over now.
I know. It always goes that way though.
Well, on the next one, we got to do, I want to do way more days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How is post going?
Post is great. I was just telling Patrick as well. We're doing a little, we're doing a little reshoot on the 12th.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we got the bulk of the movie and all the really challenging stuff. And now it's really interesting because we're kind of watching this Teardrop film right now as we were talking, and like I was telling Patrick as well, like you shoot your film, right, and you shoot the script, and we all, like, every single person, Patrick, what I love about Jordan so much is like, it's like I write this character, right, and then like I meet her and I'm like, oh, she's so great, and then it's like she has her instincts on who this girl is, who's going through this thing, and has a really interesting personal dilemma while dealing with the haunting of the woods. And you just, like, Oh, this part is cool. I guess to show Jordan. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, excuse me. Have you seen a maid?
So we but like it's super interesting. Like
It says,
You-
have you seen Blade?
you-
Oh, yikes.
we it was such an interesting live stream while watching. But I love with horror. Okay, we got a good ad. Perfect. You bring this, Patrick Jordan comes in and it's like she has all these great exciting things and like film this and everyone and the chemistry of this cast was so good. Like I think this was the best.
Yeah, it was so
cast.
good.
Like, and I didn't really see it until actually when we started to do that one day rehearsal.
Mhm.
I started to be like, oh my god, this is really working because like just sitting together. But
'Cause we
what's
were sitting reading the script and I was like, wait, it's like we previously talked and like
no, it was so
how
weird.
each other was gonna be.
That was surreal for me. And then when everyone put on the outfits and was all together, I was like, this is so weird.
It was
Like,
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it really felt like a group of friends, which is so
Okay.
weird. Almost nobody knew each other. They were all just like randomly found from so many different things, and some were this, and some I knew from this and that, and but then you put everyone together, and now I think which is really cool about post, and also it's kind of nerve-wracking and challenging, exciting, is like you film the movie, you film all these different little variations because when you're on set, at least for me, I like to just capture a bunch of stuff. I'm not really interested in being like, I know what's best. It's like, oh, that was kind of cool. Let's try that. And then you take this giant like bin of footage and then you start to find like what's the soul of the film. And
Yeah.
I think that you have to be open to that stuff as a filmmaker. Otherwise you're like it had to be this. And then you're kind of like going against the current instead of being like, hey, the current brought me all these really interesting things. And maybe part of this part didn't work as well here, but this part works so well here. So let's lean into this, even though the script might have done that. And I think it really requires you to really surrender. And I imagine the same way as an actor, like you have all these plans and then it's like when it's rolling, you have to surrender and let whatever happens happen. Right.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you just kind of have to live in the moment. And when you're in the world, it's obviously very different than, reading it and rehearsing before. So yeah.
I noticed, Jordan, you were on a TV show, Will Trent.
Yeah, it was on Will Trent. Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Season 1 of Will Trent.
Do you have any scenes with Ramon Rodriguez?
Yeah, I did. It was a scene. We were at a college campus, and they were interviewing me and my friends because we knew a boy that went missing in that episode. So, yeah.
Will Ramon Rodriguez? He did a movie called Battle Los Angeles, and
wait, was that the one with Aaron Eckhart? No.
Yes.
The alien movie, like in Los Angeles.
Yes. Yeah.
Weird movie.
He was so good in that.
Yeah, he's amazing.
The one moment, and it chokes me up. The first time I saw it, I bawled.
Oh.
But he plays the leader of this man, and he sacrifices himself on the bus, and he gives out his name, and he saves his people, and I just got so choked up by that. That's just his whole performance was just so good in that movie, and I became an instant fan overnight. I was like, that guy's amazing.
Yeah, I think they're on like season 4 now of the show.
Yeah, they got renewed.
Yeah.
A little bit of TV, huh, Jordan?
Yeah, I have.
What else did you do? Swagger or something like that?
Oh yes, Swagger. That was a show on Apple TV, kind of based off Kevin Durant's life.
That's right.
Basketball show. Yeah, that was one episode of that.
What is it like? So my brother was an actor. He was like a child actor, and he had a really when I was only in high school, and my brother was like 8th grade, and he had a huge, big like cameo character episode on Modern Family when Modern Family was like in its peak, and he had this big scene with like Sofia Vergara, and it was like a really weird phenomenon because the show was so big, and his episode turned into this like hit thing where he was like Manny's best friend, but he was in love with Gloria. But I just remember him telling that some of these TV sets are just so dynamic, like the level of money and production and like the trailers that like even if you come in as a co-star, he was like, I don't always remember, like I drove him to a couple things and he'd be like, he had this giant trailer as like a 12-year-old, for like he was on Bones, he had 4 lines, he has a huge trailer, there's lunches, I'm like, he's there, and he's there literally all day, and then comes out for 2 hours and is then back in the trailer and we needed you to come. It was like the strangest, like
I know, it's crazy the amount of money they have. When I did Swagger, that was a night shoot one night, and they were serving us like steaks at midnight for lunch.
Could you eat like a steak at midnight when you're on a
I did. And then they got us Chick-fil-A at like 4 a.m. I'm like, how did y'all get Chick-fil-A right now? It's closed. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Jen. Some of the movies I talk about, they're so old. That's what I'm talking about. Like Dead and Buried, that's been out since the '80s, and so I guess I assume that people have watched it. I mean, Battle of Los Angeles came out like 14 years ago.
No,
so I'm just not used to people not seeing all this. I guess
it makes me feel old because are you 2000 something? What?
I'm 2003. I'm 21.
2000.
Oh my God, just a kid. Oh my gosh.
2003. Oh my God. In 2003, I was 11.
11. Okay.
Yeah,
I was 2003. I got my first Nintendo 64, and I was like, "Mom, Dad, like, let me get Mario." We were playing Pokemon cards in second grade.
In 2003, I was getting ready to get married.
Wow.
Wait.
But like, I feel like Jordan, like Jordan. I mean, it's interesting, because I feel like Jordan has like an old soul, Like, I assume that because I also think like she's very mature and like very like just keeps her cool and like handled we had a lot of it was like kind of a high stakes shoot, just from basically like having to deliver and not having, the luxury of time on our side. And
right.
I don't know. I feel like in that way, you just have the like veteran actor feel of like, it seems like you've been doing this forever. When did you start acting?
I started TV film when I was like 12. So I think being a child actor helps with all that. Help me with
that's what it is.
Yeah.
You did the child. See, and that's what's so interesting, because most 21-year-old guys or girls, like, they haven't done a damn thing when it comes to a movie or TV show. And so, but they're still, right. So it's, and I know I've experienced that, where like people who are just like, to me, anyone who's like has zero nerves about auditioning or whatever, I'm like, that scares me more than people who are like it's healthy to have like an amount of nerves, because you are trying to find something in the moment. It's just what the craft is. Right? Even like Tom Cruise and the biggest actors, they get nervous for every movie because that is what you do. So when people have like delusionally none of that stuff and they've never worked on stuff, it scares me a lot, because it makes me feel they are going to show their nerves in an absolute terrible, like bad acting, like, or weird ways. So it is interesting. Like, you've basically been doing this for 10 years, but you started as a kid, which is so crazy.
I love that it happened that way, though, because I feel like once I turned, 18 and started getting more opportunities with bigger jobs, because, they always love to cast 18 and older to play younger. Yeah. I felt like I was ready versus starting later and kind of, being thrown into it. And my mom helped me a lot. My mom is so knowledgeable with the industry, and growing up, she was always with me on every job. So
your mom had like a momager kind of thing going on.
She's still my momager. I love her. I need her advice all the time.
I always say too, and my family's that way, and I think that it's so important to like keep it in the family, and I just love when there's family productions and things. It's just to me, it's like there's a level of value system that I like about it, and it's like what we're doing and making movies, and like, of course, everyone wants their career, to things to further their career and all that stuff, but also like the actual creative process is not the 95% of what we're doing. So if you can't like trust the people you're working with, it's like it's so unpleasant. Like there's nothing worse than feeling like there's a judgmental person in the production of it. Because even for me, I'm like I'm trying to figure stuff out. Like, oh, you're directing, you know what you're doing. I'm like, well, I actually don't know what I'm doing. I have ideas, right? Yeah. We're all trying to figure it out. And Patrick and I were talking. I would be curious to see what Jordan thinks of my first film that I did a few years ago, Down Below. It was the first thing I directed. It's how I met Doug and all these things, but it was basically during the SAG strike. My brother and we worked on this movie. We started shooting it took us 3 years to make this feature, but we were so annoyed by Hollywood. I had been a writer and I just like, no one would take my call. I couldn't get an agent anymore. And we just felt, and my brother couldn't get cast. It couldn't get into any show. And we were just kind of like very burnt out of the Hollywood side. And so we were like, you know what, let's just like make our own feature instead of waiting for someone to come and finance us.
Right.
We began this film in like 2021. And Willow, go to your room.
Seeing Rebecca, she's going to be leaving the town here in a minute.
But yeah, you should watch it, Jordan. I'm super. It's Tubi.
It's called Down Below.
It's on Tubi.
Okay.
I'm actually in it, and the only reason I'm in it is because my brother and I went through a 3-year film, and my brother had acted in all the shorts and all the films we'd ever made, and I always think, and he is like he kind of followed this Marlon Brando thing of like, I've used all my faces in your film. Like he's like, if I do this role, I've already done a version of it, and I don't want to do that. And so and I was like, well, who are we going to get? Like we have this person who jumps off the pier and does all these stunts and has to basically be like a on call for 2.5 years, right? Because we're shooting on weekends. And he's like, you should do it. I'm like, I don't know how to act. He's like, I'll teach you. And so that was kind of
Oh, that's fun. You get to work together.
And then by the end of the film, so it started out as like a backyard film, and then all of a sudden we had like Eric Roberts joining the film and this Alexis and the thing, and I had to start acting with these people, and I'm like, and I would tell everyone. I told everyone my only move that I think was like, I basically told them, I was like, hey, look, I'm not a professional actor, and for me to do something that I feel like is real, I need to like forget all the dialogue. Otherwise, I'm going to be too like in my lack of experience, I'm going to like be too memorized. So I was like, I'm going to let you're going to have to try to improv off me, and I'll try to get my script the best I can, but just know that. And that's kind of how we did it. Because I was like, the more I can just be real and in the moment, I can be more authentic than if I have to start trying to remember lines. You're gonna see it on my face, you know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
Unconventional kind of production that led to this one somehow.
Nice.
I'll tell you one thing about Teardrop. I mean, they're pushing it to the very end. I mean, we still got our entire original cast here, and we're taking it to the very limit. Though Rebecca left town, she's trying to walk out. So I'm not sure what happened to her. But this is interesting. This is not anything like. Well, this movie's not anything like I expected it to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Jordan, is like with this film, and I think I've carried it on a little bit, but it's like I don't like straightforward slasher horror movies. I can appreciate them, but what I kind of liked about our new movie as well is like I like the mystery. Like I like that there's something going on in the woods and this witch demon, and I want to learn about the mystery. To me, that's like the kind of genre I like. It's like when you're like learning about the mythology of like what happens, why are these woods cursed, and then we're using these characters who have their own issues, but to kind of learn more and more. Right. But what you get is you need a little bit more of an attention span than when you have like one of those like person running around with a knife, like who's killing every 10 minutes, 8 minutes.
No, there's definitely like a level of reality to the weeping.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really important because horror movies can sometimes go off track and just be crazy.
And just too blood and gore centric where there's no story.
Yeah.
It's just like kill.
It's like, okay, we get it. People are dying, but
And that's just, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's that fun for like an actor to do a movie where it's just like, because then all of a sudden the characters are just like victims, you know, it's just like, when will this trope get killed off versus like infusing all this life into them and finding, you know, like, I don't know, that's why I think Jordan and I just collab so well on this. It's just like, and all the actors, we're just like, I think all have a similar taste of like, we like horror, but we want to make elevated horror and horror that like has some, you have to use your brain, you know, there's stuff going on, and there's not that there isn't a lot of fun, but the fun also has like, you get rewarded for paying attention. You get rewarded for all the breadcrumbs of like, oh my God, what do you think is going to happen? And then you find out this other element of this forest. And I mean, that's my interest. And
Yeah.
Jordan saw me go all crazy in the woods. If I didn't find this stuff to be fun and us doing stuff that I thought was different, like I just don't think I would continue to pursue this, because I've made so little money over the years the first is just doing a regular, you know, job in finance or whatever that I went to school for, that it's like it has to have the passion element for me, or I'm just, right.
I
There's
think
so much
the
of your
passion
life,
is so there. Yeah.
right? Like I can't imagine how much of your life you spend on auditions and things where it's like, if you lose your love of it, like nobody would do this.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything should make you excited
Yeah.
to do it.
I can't wait. I have a little very exciting news to share with Jordan, but I have to wait because we got a really exciting one more actor joining the film
Oh, really?
here. Yeah.
Okay. When will I know?
I can text you after. You'll see on the 12th. It's a good one. Yeah, he's going to be on the reshoot. So, it's a good one. It's somehow, I was telling Patrick, I was like, man, I don't know what one thing I never knew that I would have had a skill set, but it's getting like way too big of actors to be doing these little passion films. They're like,
hey, that's exciting.
You were there on Doug's night, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug is
I love Doug. Doug is such good energy.
Nice. Like he's so sweet. Like
So sweet.
And that was my shocking thing where I was like, oh my God, like, and Jordan knows, I'm like, I'm trying to find the same group of people, short of like changing and casting just from different parts of every movie, right? But like, it's finding those like families of people. I think Quentin Tarantino does it very well with like his cast and crew.
Yeah.
Like he seems to work with a lot of the same people.
Right.
And like, you eliminate the bad apples. There's always some rotten person on everything. And it's like, you move on from them and you continue to build that team of family where it's like, hey, like we're working on bigger movies. Now we're all getting paid more. We all have better, although the lunches were good on this one. I like,
oh my gosh, yes.
That's one of the first questions I always ask is, how's the craft table?
Amazing. So good.
On this one.
I would go back every break I had and grab something.
I drank so much electrolyte powders. It was crazy.
Really?
I was
Celsius too.
Yeah. And Patrick, we did the last night was an all-nighter. And I will tell you, having not pulled an all-nighter since like college or something, I don't think I will ever do an all-nighter again on a movie shoot. I felt so terrible the next day. You know, this wasn't even, this was working. It's like no drinking, no thing. I felt so terrible with the sun, and I was driving home and I was like,
it's hard when it's like one day. If it's like, okay, I completely flipped my week to be awake in the night and
maybe so when you do it longer, maybe, you know, like.
Yeah, but one day is extremely hard. Yeah.
But one day was very hard. Look, this is they're getting killed by the hell dogs or something, right? That was the only part about this movie I will say. They didn't really have enough for the VFX of the dogs here.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like that they did it. And so it's always a weird, interesting dilemma with, and I'm curious to see what you think of it, Jordan. Jordan's young. She might end up directing one day too. But like, so when you're doing a movie and a script and you're bringing it to life, and you don't have and you're in the lower budget realm, there's always a version of the movie that you could do that same story for with more money and be able to do things a lot differently, right? But if you want to get it made, sometimes you're just like, I could wait 5 years. This weeping I had, the director of this movie was attached. Stephen Monroe was attached to do the weeping, actually, in 2023. Couldn't get it off the ground. Then I, after making my first little crazy low budget film, was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. But the way he was going to do it was like $3 million and this and all these things. And so when doing it for really, really ultra low budget, you look at all these things and you have to figure out, like, you have to make compromises no matter what. There are compromises that have to be made. And so you constantly have to juggle, like, okay, if we lose this because we can't afford to do it, does this take away too much from the story? But if we keep it, this may be like look a little fake and cheesy, but maybe that can be forgiven because at least we're still doing it. And so you're kind of like measuring out like what you can get away with, and knowing that, like, at least for me, like, the movie making process is just an imperfect process. No matter how much you want to control things, there's always going to be problems with your film. So, but like, instead of hyper focusing on those problems, like, I look at what this new movie we've done, and I'm like, this movie, I've done so many things that I never could have imagined that we could have pulled off.
Yeah.
For the little problems that if I could go back with like a dry eraser and change, it's like, those problems also came with all these great miracles too. So it's like,
yeah, it's all how you adapt to, change. It's all about adapting.
Yeah. And just,
yeah,
I always say too, like, you just can't be too hard on yourself, because it's so easy with the arts to be so self-critical,
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
like, it's, I don't know. I know I've been a victim of that. And just like, it's like, give yourself a break. You're doing great stuff, and we're making movies, and we're doing a lot of special things. And I think we're doing a lot of ambitious things. And I think that's all you can really do is we all got together and we really made an ambitious film.
And at the end of the day, we had so much fun. It was
Isn't half of it though? I mean, the movie, and it has to be fun making it. I mean, when it goes in there and it feels more like a chore than you take the joy out of it. And I think it affects it. When you have I heard you mention earlier, Spyder, about having a bad apple on set, and it's like you just can't have that. You got to get rid of it as soon as it pops its head up. You got to get rid of it because it can spoil the whole shoot.
Right.
We had really no bad apples on this set, but I did have an early genesis of the film. Many awful, horrible, rotten apples. And Hollywood is filled with those things because you have these to me, it's the most difficult thing is trying to find the people who share the same overall value system, and meaning that they got into movies for somewhat of the same reason I did, which is like, they like what they do and they like the acting part and they were creative, and it's because those are the people. Otherwise, it's like Jordan's going to be like, Spyder, you're driving me crazy asking me all these details. But instead of that, she also wants to know all those details about her character, and we're trying to figure it out. So if you have someone who doesn't really, they want to do it because they want to be famous or they want to be on the red carpet or be in movies, which is fine. There are movies and there are people like that who are perfectly nice people. I find that I clash those people a lot because I want to be really passionate and obsessive about all these little things that are really exciting. And if you feel like someone doesn't want to really chat with you about those details, it's kind of a drag because it's like, okay, well, I guess let's just not talk about, it's weird. So it's like finding those people who share the same kind of like why they're doing it. And then like, but again, Jordan and I have very different life experiences. So she's going to bring all this great, interesting life experience and ideas to her work. But at the same time, I feel like we share the most like fundamental values, which is like, I trust her, I respect her, and I'm interested in what she thinks of the script and what she thinks of what she wants to do, because that's why I want her on board, not to bring her and take her away from her instincts. Like, I want her for her instincts, and I want those instincts loose, and I want to explore them as much as we can because I myself am trying to find the film as well. So it's, it's
yeah,
a really interesting thing.
Right. And I really respect that you're very you let us all just collab and throw out any ideas we had, which makes it fun too, because it's like we're all coming together and creating this beautiful thing.
We did, Pat. It's a good one.
I tell you what, if you guys keep talking just for a quick second, I'm going to go ahead. We can keep talking after, but I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out and watching Teardrop. I will be coming back with a review of it very soon.
Here's the ending. Here's the little ending at the. I love the music, by the way.
Yes. We will be back here on Tuesday with artist Angela Williams. And Wednesday, we'll have our friend Marcus will be popping up from I Shot Him 6 Times. And then on Friday, we'll be heading down to Australia to talk with podcaster Talk Horror with Tate. And that will be next Friday at 9 p.m. I want to thank the chat for coming out and supporting it. Jen and Larry and who came out, and Jim came out and hung out with us for a little bit. Michelle. Hopefully we'll get our Instagram thing straightened out. If not, I will see you. I'll see you on here, and I'll also see you on next Tuesday night. Thanks for watching, and we'll be doing this again on the 21st with Joe Leone. In fact, Spider, I might have you come out and hang out with us if you can.
Sure, I'll come by.
Joe Leone, Joe Leone will be with us on the 21st, and we'll be watching Reap. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great night. Peace.
Bye.
Stay right where you guys at.
Okay.